Chapter 185. The 16 golden swords were exactly the same in terms of size, shape, and size. The edge of every single sword was smooth like a mirror and inscribed with talisman markings that were like WRMS, and numerous monstrous sword chi surged out like a storm that was brewing. You overestimate yourself. Chu Xinghe's eyes flashed. You're just a firefly, yet you dare to compete with the sun and moon. The 16 swords that were filled with energy spread out behind him like a peacock spreading its tail. They shone with a golden light and were extremely beautiful. Then they tore through the void at a speed that was hard to see with the naked eye. The moment each sword fell, they transformed into numerous waves of golden sword chi. At first glance, they were densely packed. It was as if an unstoppable storm was pressing down on them. Blade Storm. This set of ancient sword techniques was ever-changing and unpredictable. Taking someone's head from 1,000 miles away was as easy as taking something out of one's pocket. That sharp whistle seemed to be able to tear apart one's eardrums. That threatening sword chi seemed to be able to tear apart the entire space. What a terrifying attack. As expected of Chu Xinghe, his attack was as powerful as a thunderbolt. Shwa! 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 The light rays were like threads weaving through the invisible hands, instantly forming a huge protective shield. The instant the 10,000 swords descended, it actually blocked that terrifying attack. Boom! The main hall shook. The sword chi shattered one after another and shot into the pillars of the hall, leaving deep marks on them. Do you think I'm stupid enough to help you open the treasury? Chu Tian stood in the center of the light mirror formation and scathed. He was surrounded by crisscrossing light rays. Right now, all the mirrors in the formation are under my control. No matter how powerful your sword technique is, what can you do to me? Right now, the entire space was divided into coordinates in Chu Tian's eyes. No matter where Chu Xinghe appeared, no matter where he attacked, he would be able to block an attack with 100% accuracy. Chu Tian had already controlled all the light mirrors when he was setting up the formation. Otherwise, he wouldn't have dared to open the door to the treasury. Oomph. Stubborn duck. You're just borrowing external strength. How many places can you defend at the same time? Chu Xinghe made another move. 32 Wandering Dragons formation. The instant the 16 flying swords were repelled, light flashed and turned into 32 swords. The densely packed sword images covered the entire light mirror formation, doubling the attack density. Hundreds and thousands of sword chi flew together. The scene was like a tsunami driven by a storm, bombarding a lone island in a frenzy. Dozens of dazzling rays of light shot out from the light mirror array at the same time, weaving into a crisscrossing cage that was constantly changing. No matter which angle he attacked from, he couldn't hurt Chu Tian at all. For Chu Tian, the trajectories of those light rays were hard to grasp, but he could control them as he pleased to attack or defend. He had never missed once, and the flying sword that came to attack him were all bounced off. He couldn't just passively take a beating. If one defended for too long, there would definitely be openings. Therefore, it was better to take the initiative to attack. Chu Tian waved his hand to control the main mirror. The light shot forward and bounced several times. In the blink of an eye, it rushed out of the array and turned into a spear of light. It swept across the ground, leaving a long, molten mark. Chu Xinghe dodged it in an instant. He dodged it? It was impossible for Chu Xinghe to be faster than light, unless he dodged before attacking. He was able to accurately determine the source of the attack from the countless light mirrors. This kind of insight was not something the naked eye could possess, so it was very likely that he had opened his mind's eye. So what if you have a mind's eye? Chu Tian slapped the light mirror, and the light beam swept across several mirrors. The light beam split into several groups and constantly reflected in the light mirrors, turning into 4 or 5 concentrated attacks that shot out at the same time. If you have the ability, then dodge it. Chu Xinghe had a mind's eye, but Chu Tian also had a mind's eye. Chu Tian knew that the mind's eye's insight had its limits. Moreover, the mind's eye's specialty was to concentrate one's divine sense. It could not be like the mind's lantern that could radiate. When several light beams were shot out at the same time, even if Chu Xinghe had the mind's eye, he would not be able to see through it. Who knew that Chu Xinghe had already made preparations? Dragon Sword Shield. Those golden treasured swords stabbed into the ground in front of Chu Xinghe, forming an airtight giant shield. The moment the light beam hit it, the outer layer of the treasured swords melted. The fierce strength pushed the giant shield forward, finally piercing through with a pung sound. Countless melted swords filled the sky. Chu Xinghe was no longer behind the shield. The sword shield had bought him a bit of time, but with Chu Xinghe's cultivation base, he could safely tear it apart. 64 Roaming Dragon Sword Array. The long cry of a flood dragon filled the main hall. 64 swords reformed and floated in the air, densely packed together. He released the power of his source spirit, filling each sword with the power of a flood dragon. The 64 swords turned into 64 golden flood dragons that brandished their fangs and claws. They were agile, and their might increased, no longer attacking in a straight line like before. Chu Xinghe was really hard to deal with. His strength seemed to be endless. Although his cultivation base was only at the peak 4th body refinement layer, this kind of battle strength was enough to make the older generation members of Central State City blush with shame. Chu Xinghe stood on the golden flood dragon and was surrounded by countless golden flood dragons. His body was filled with light, and his aura was like the sun in the sky. He was as dignified as a deity, and his eyes were cold and terrifying. Do you think a light mirror formation can stop me? I will destroy this array and leave the protection. I want to see if you can block a single attack from me. Chu Xinghe's voice was filled with confidence. He did not have any patience left. 63 golden flood dragons received the order, and like sharks smelling blood, they all lunged at the light mirror array. These golden flood dragons were several times more ferocious than the flying swords from before, and a weaker light beam could not even send them flying in one hit. Chu Xinghe wanted to destroy the array with brute force. Once they left the light mirror array, Chu Tian would not be able to fight against Yi Tianlang. Not to mention the head of the 4 young masters, Chu Xinghe. Chu Tian released his divine sense and controlled several light mirrors. The light mirrors were penetrated by Chu Tian's divine sense and began to tremble. Rays of light swept out in an arc, and the light mirror array was filled with light. Several rays of light passed through the different mirrors and finally shot into the sky. The golden flood dragons were bombarded by the rays of light and were sent back into the air one by one. Chu Xinghe controlled them with a dark expression. The wandering flood dragons attacked again and again. Chu Tian was as stable as Mount Tai. The mind's lantern's range was reduced, and it covered an area of several dozen feet. It increased the divine sense in that area and allowed him to lock onto the position of each flood dragon, the angle and position of each mirror, the speed and attack position of each golden flood dragon. All of this was seen by Chu Tian's divine sense. He was multitasking as he controlled the light mirror array. The rays of light continued to shoot out from the array, and the beams of light continued to block the golden flood dragons, making it hard for Chu Xinghe to break through. Pung! The golden light and the golden flood dragons collided. Large amounts of golden energy exploded in the air. Each attack and collision was very shocking. It was as if even the main hall was shaking. Chu Tian's calculation ability was too terrifying, basically being able to calculate everything. Using the light mirror array's powerful and complex system, as well as the incomparable speed and accuracy of the light beams, he was able to block the several dozen raging flood dragons. The Heavenly Sword Young Master Sword Art is only at this level. When Chu Xinghe heard Chu Tian's provocation, the killing intent in his eyes became even thicker. He never thought that a person that wasn't even in the illustrious soul realm would be able to last this long under the might of his Imperial Flood Dragon Sword Art. It had to be known. Even if it was a 5th awakened soul layer cultivator, when facing Chu Xinghe's sword array, they would not be able to last more than 10 breaths of time. But this powerful sword array could not take down this damn fellow. He was just relying on this large array. Chu Xinghe's sword, there was nothing it couldn't break and nothing it couldn't resist. How could it be restrained by an array controlled by a trivial second awakened soul layer cultivator? Divine Flood Dragon Descent. Over 60 golden flood dragons soared into the sky and gathered above Chu Tian's head. Finally, they all fell down at the same time, releasing an aura that was like a river flowing backwards. Could it be that he wanted to stake it all on this one throw? Chu Tian's right hand patted the main mirror beside him, and the light fell onto the surrounding mirrors. After countless refractions, it formed a large net of light that instantly blocked the falling flood dragons. "Break for me!" With a loud roar, the golden flood dragons were blown away one by one and returned to their original form. Chu Xinghe urged the golden flood dragon under his feet to attack. It turned into a golden light and instantly shot at Chu Tian. But halfway there, a beam of light swept over. Chu Xinghe quickly raised his sword to block it. The terrifying power directly broke the treasured sword and threw him into the air. "It's my turn!" The beam of light was reflected several dozen times. As the number of reflections increased, not only did it increase the power of the beam, it also allowed him to escape from Chu Xinghe's mind's eye, making it hard for him to predict. Fast. Too fast. This was still light. When this world could be faster than light. The golden light was like a giant spear that pierced through Chu Xinghe's chest. This attack was very strong. Even with Chu Xinghe's protective spirit energy, he could not block it. His chest was pierced through like a piece of paper, and his body was sent flying several dozen meters before finally falling to the ground. Was he killed? If that was the case, then the famous Chu Xinghe was just an undeserved reputation. After Chu Xinghe was pierced by the light, the golden flying swords that filled the sky did not fall. Instead, they gathered together with a surge of energy. Chu Tian's expression changed slightly. The sword in the center flashed and turned into Chu Xinghe's appearance. He wore a white jade crown on his head, and his green robes fluttered in the wind. His hands formed a sword seal, and his posture was cold and arrogant. It was as if a sword immortal had descended to the world. That sharp light could not be looked at directly. Chu Tian looked at Chu Xinghe, who had just been hit. Where was Chu Xinghe's body? All that was left was a broken sword. A diversionary tactic? He fell into a trap? The Flood Dragon's attack was just a feint. Chu Xinghe took advantage of the fact that Chu Tian's attention was diverted and instantly swapped places with the Flood Dragon under his feet. He used some secret technique to turn himself into the Golden Flood Dragon sword and the Golden Flood Dragon sword into his appearance. When the Flood Dragon's attack failed, Chu Xinghe used the Golden Flood Dragon under his feet to feint an attack. His goal was to send himself to Chu Tian's side. Chu Tian concentrated his energy on the substitute. As for a mere flying sword, he casually dealt with it and did not unleash a thunderous attack. At this time, Chu Xinghe was already above Chu Tian. Chu Xinghe had been using his mind's eye to observe. He discovered that this position was the blind spot of most of the light mirrors. Although Chu Tian could use his divine sense to move the light mirrors, as long as Chu Xinghe's speed was fast enough, he could definitely kill him before Chu Tian could. 10,000 flood dragons enter the body, one with the sword. Dozens of swords turned into golden light and drilled into Chu Xinghe's body. At this moment, Chu Xinghe had become one with the sword. He was the sword, and the sword was him. All the energy was concentrated on his body. He formed a sword art with both hands, and a huge sword light soared into the sky from his right hand. Boom! A huge hole appeared in the ceiling. Soul sword technique. Cutting heaven style. The power of this sword was too terrifying. Chu Xinghe was indeed worthy of being a genius of the Chu family. He had actually combined the Imperial Sword transformation into Flood Dragon sword technique with the Chu family's inherited Soul sword technique. First, he used the strongest move of the Imperial Sword technique to become one with the sword. Then, he used his body as a sword and used the cutting heaven style. The cutting heaven style was the strongest move of the soul sword technique. Chu Xinghe himself already had the strength to challenge those above him, not to mention that he was using it without holding back. The might of this sword was hard to imagine. Even if he was facing a sixth awakened soul layer cultivator, he would still have a chance of killing them with a single slash. Even a true soul realm expert would be heavily injured if they were to block this attack. This was Chu Xinghe, the #1 genius of Central State City. The sword chi that soared into the sky was several dozen feet long. Before it even came down, the pressure already made it so that Chu Tian could not stand straight. The surrounding light mirrors all changed directions and could not be controlled by Chu Tian at all. The sword chi was like a 10,000-foot long flood as it flew out. There was only a deep sword mark left behind. The center of the main hall was several dozen feet long. The ancient array that was 10 times harder than iron was actually split apart, and the main mirror that was protected by the mysterious power was also shattered. The entire light mirror array lost its color. This slash had actually destroyed the array. How could Chu Tian's mortal body have a complete corpse? It seemed like the difference in strength between the two sides was too large. The one who would be defeated in the end would still be Chu Tian. Chu Xinghe's face turned pale, looking at the destroyed main hall in front of him. That cold as ice face finally revealed a cold smile of ridicule. Did I overestimate him in the end? To be able to force me to use my trump card against this kind of person, I've made him lose too beautifully. But this was Chu Xinghe's style. Chu Xinghe had a cold and overbearing personality. Since Chu Tian thought that he could defeat him with a single light mirror array, then Chu Xinghe would destroy him along with the array. The image of his irresistible strength was firmly planted in the depths of Chu Tian's heart. It would become a hard mountain to cross on his cultivation path, a heart demon that he could never overcome. This cultivation path would be hard to take even a single step forward. Chu Xinghe's goal would be achieved. Chu Xinghe released the man and sword union technique and put the sword back into the sheath. Suddenly, he felt a strange, sharp energy gathering behind him. This is bad. The sword that had been sheathed once again flew into the sky. But before he could use his sword art, a beautiful burning sword glow pierced through Chu Xinghe's chest and came out from his back. Netherworld raging flame slash. Chu Xinghe revealed a look of shock. The young man was wearing a simple robe, and there was not a single wound on his body. He was standing in front of him, completely unharmed. On that young face, there was a cold smile of ridicule. The burning sword in his hand had pierced through his body, and the surging netherworld flames were being poured into his limbs. No, impossible. Chu Xinghe did not believe it no matter what. How could Chu Tian have survived? That was an attack that even a peak illustrious soul realm expert would find hard to block. How could Chu Tian not be injured at all? The thing that Chu Xinghe could not accept the most was that his sword could not kill Chu Tian, but rather he had been killed by Chu Tian's sword. I'm a man of my word. I said that I would personally kill you, so I will personally kill you. Chu Tian emphasized the word personally. This was very harsh on Chu Xinghe's ears. Whether you believe it or not, you have already lost. The so-called heavenly sword young master is just a joke. When a raging flame stabbed into Chu Xinghe did not have the ability to resist at all because Chu Xinghe had released all his spirit energy in that full strength slash. When his meridians were not filled with spirit energy, he was suddenly stabbed by this wild slash, and the netherworld ghost flame filled his body. That sharp netherworld sword had pierced through his heart. Even with Chu Xinghe's strength, there was nothing he could do. Chu Tian waved his right hand, and the netherworld sword returned to its sheath. Leaving behind a simple robe fluttering in the wind, he walked towards the giant door without even looking back. A mass of gray fog appeared, and the little white fox appeared on his shoulder. This fox had a taunting smile as it looked at Chu Xinghe and even made a face at him. Finally, Chu Tian walked through the door. The giant door to the treasure room slowly closed and then disappeared from the main hall. No! Chu Xinghe gave a loud roar, and the netherworld flame came out of his body in the next second. instantly swallowing Chu Xingha's body. Then the jade token on his chest released a strong light, and a strong force sent him out of the trial tower. Lost. The heavenly sword young master had lost. Central State's number 1, Chu Xingha, had lost. No matter how he thought about it, he could not understand how Chu Tian did it. There had never been a person that could make him feel this kind of incomparable shame and anger, as well as a trembling from his soul. Chapter 186. Central State City, ancient ruins, next to the Central State Trial Tower. The sky gradually darkened, and the stars lit up the night sky. The earth was silent, and the white jade trial tower silently stood in the ruins. It seemed like it had remained the same for thousands of years, not changing at all. The 4 great families had already set up 4 camps around the Central State Tower. The guards of the various families were tightly guarding the area. A tense and apprehensive atmosphere filled the air above the camp. In this era where there was no new and old, the ancient ruins were everywhere. Among the countless hidden treasures, the trial tower was the least dangerous. It was not like the 10,000 corpse ancient tomb, where one's cultivation base was sealed, and it was not as dangerous as the other forbidden secret realms. So, the death rate of the participants was very low. At least in the several hundred years since the founding of Central State City, there had never been a precedent of someone dying in the trial tower. Although it was like this, it did not mean that the trial tower was completely safe. The main reason for the low mortality rate in the Tower of Trial was that the trial's laws protected the trial taker. When a trial taker received a certain amount of damage in the Tower of Trial, the trial taker would automatically remove the damage and teleport them out of the Tower of Trial. Thus, to a large extent, the trial taker's life was guaranteed. What was calculated here was instant fatal damage. What if the accumulated damage caused the participant to be seriously injured, but it did not reach the death rate of the trial law? The situation would be different. Even if the participant was eliminated, they would still be in a seriously injured state. Or would the trial law make a mistake? What if the damage was lethal and they didn't have time to react? Would the trial taker die as a result? So even if there was no direct death, there had been 1 or 2 serious injuries that had been sent out of the trial tower. In the end, the injuries had left behind side effects, causing one's cultivation base to drop. The gains did not make up for the losses. The 4 great families did not dare slack off for even a second. The elites of the families were stationed around the Central State Tower, and they had prepared medicine masters and healers. If something happened to their children in the trial tower, they would be able to react as soon as possible. Xiong Wuji was wearing a suit of general armor as he guarded the ruins. His job was to maintain order. The 4 great families did not get along, so if there was any conflict, the military would intervene. Xiong Wuji revealed a hint of a smile. This year's trial taker's strength is polarized, but after more than 10 hours, not a single one has been eliminated. This is really unexpected. Yeah, a deputy general said strangely. If it was in the past, I'm afraid more than half of them would have been eliminated. The disparity in strength between the trial takers this year was too great. The 4 people led by Chu Xingha were all illustrious Soul Realm experts. Chu Tian, Nangong Yun, Yun Xiao, and the others were all at the 2nd Awakened Soul Layer. Chu Xingha was the most outstanding among them. Even if the others joined forces, they might not be able to defeat him. However, due to the existence of the powerful Chu Xingha, the difficulty of the trial would be greatly increased, and it would be stricter than before. No matter how quick-witted Chu Tian was, under such a harsh trial environment, he should have been eliminated, right? The 4 great clans were also very confused, especially the Chu, Luo, and Yi families. What was going on? They actually let that fellow Chu Tian stay in the trial tower for this long? Didn't they already tell them to cripple Chu Tian and throw him out as soon as they entered the tower? Yun Tianhe, Chun Bingyu, and the others were all a bit nervous. Yun Tianhe had made an optimistic estimate. For a burden like Yun Xiao, it would be good if he could survive for 4 or 5 hours. If Yun Yao was stable, she would be able to last 15 to 20 hours. As for Chu Tian, this brat had too many variables, so it was hard to evaluate him. It had already been over 10 hours. Why hadn't a single person come out? Could something have happened? Yin Tian's heart was a bit anxious. The Yin family was under a lot of pressure this time. Even if Yun Yao had the Thunder Spirit Bead to increase her strength, if the Chu, Luo, and Yi Young Masters worked together, Yun Yao would not be able to fight back. Not to mention that waste Yun Xiao. Chun Bingyu also tightly knit her brows. She was not only Chu Tian's follower, she was also Chu Tian's worshipper. Moreover, Chu Tian was her life-saving straw. Ka. Chun Bingyu's fists tightened, and a faint killing intent began to fill the air. If the Chu, Luo, and Yi families dared to do anything to Chu Tian, she would not let these fellows go. Everyone had their own thoughts as another 2 hours passed. The trial tower flashed with light and began to slightly shake. Someone's coming out. Everyone was filled with excitement. Who could it be? The top of the Central State Tower released a beam of light, and several ancient runes appeared at the top of the tower. It was an ancient number, 188 points. 188 points. This kind of result was already considered a very, very good result. A white-robed youth was sent flying out of the door and slammed into the ground. The Yin family members revealed looks of joy. Seeing a ghost, wasn't this their family's young master Yin Xiao? Everyone else was stunned. The playboy Yun Xiao, who had been treated as a waste, had actually obtained 188 points? What was going on? He must have cheated. The Yun family members were filled with excitement. This was truly a pleasant surprise. They could finally hold their heads up high. Yun Xiao did not have any problems. He had been sent flying out of the trial space and did not suffer any torture. He stood up and began to curse. Fuck! Those monsters are too abnormal. They actually tried to sneak attack Father. I don't accept this. I don't accept this. Yin Tianhe quickly asked, what is the situation in the trial tower right now? Boss, old sister, and elder sister are all together. When I came out, they should have been fine, but they're being held back by a group of terrifying demons, and no matter what kind of attack they use, the situation is not good. Yin Tianhe tightly knit his brows. The three great families were secretly delighted. It would be best if they were all eliminated at once. Yun Xiao took out the things he had exchanged and gave them to his grandfather. My harvest in the trial tower is very large. These are all things I exchanged for with points, and there are several martial arts suitable for the Yun family. For example, this wild thunder collapse can instantly kill most of our family's martial arts, and this thunder shadow step is a top-quality movement technique. 4-5 Thunder Attributed Cultivation Techniques. 3 half-step Saint Great Herbs. 2 bottles of pills that could increase one's cultivation. The things that Yun Xiao brought out from the trial tower were not ordinary. They were all top-quality items. It was enough to increase the Yun family's strength by a large amount. The Chu, Luo, and Yi families all revealed looks of jealousy. Yun Xiao, that waste, had obtained such a good result. Then Yun Yao's score would be even higher. The Yun family had 2 people participating in the trial. They had truly picked up a large bargain. Good. Yin Tianhe's old chest was filled with joy. This good-for-nothing grandson of his had finally made a contribution to the family. From now on, no one would dare laugh at him behind his back. You've done well. Go and rest. In the end, in less than a quarter of an hour, the Central State Tower shook again, and Lin Mu and Fong Han were kicked out. One had 195 points. One had 190 points. Everyone's eyes turned red. Damn, this is really strange. These 2 mercenaries did not have any background. They did not have any support. They only obtained the trial qualifications because of luck. They never thought that these 2 fellows would not only obtain the trial qualifications, they would also obtain such a high score. It would be more than enough to exchange for a sacred herb. These 2 fellows had completely turned over. The most angry ones were the Chu, Luo, and Yi families. The spots on these people were originally theirs. If these pieces of trash could obtain such a high score, how could the geniuses of the Chu, Luo, and Yi families' results be low? Yun Zhao's face was filled with wonder. You guys were also killed? Lin Mu and Fong Han gave a sigh. That demon was too strong. We couldn't do anything. We were killed when we weren't careful. Yin Tian's heart sank. Although he did not know what had happened in the trial tower, it was not hard to see from their expressions that Chu Tian had fallen into a very serious situation. There were several hundred of them. Physical attacks and energy attacks were ineffective. Their destructive might could easily tear through an illustrious soul realm expert's defenses. Under the attacks of these terrifying monsters, how could they not be eliminated? The Central State Tower shook again. 276 points. Everyone was in an uproar. This high score, it had almost broken the highest record in Central State City. The one who was sent out this time was Fong Kai-dai. She also had a face filled with regret, but she was even more depressed. This was because Fong Kai-dai was different from the other three. Chu Tian had already found a way to deal with the demons, but when Fong Kai-dai used the light mirror, she had accidentally rebounded and killed herself. How could she not be depressed? Fong Kai-dai was depressed, but before she was eliminated, she had killed quite a few demons, so her score was higher than the other three by a large amount. Because of this experience, there were many pleasant surprises, because the harvest far surpassed their expectations. Each one is better than the last. The four great families felt their blood boil. With this speed and trend, wouldn't the people that came out later have higher scores? Yin Tiana asked about it and couldn't help slapping the table. Good brat, he really is something. He was actually able to find the weakness of these demons at this critical moment. It seems like they still have hope. The Yin family had two challengers. Just Yun Xiao alone had brought back several precious thunder-attributed cultivation techniques and several half-step Saint-grade herbs for the Yun family. Then how would Yin Yao perform? 1 hour. Hong Hong. The light from the trial tower filled the sky, and two numbers appeared. 318 points. 331 points. Nangong Yun and Yun Yao were sent out. Everyone was completely shocked. It broke past 300. It actually broke past 300. The Yun family was filled with excitement. A new record. A new record had been broken. Yun Yao had obtained a terrifying score of 331 points. The highest score in the history of Central State City was less than 300 points. Yun Yao had completely broken the Central State record for several hundred years. This was truly a miraculous result. Nangong Yun exchanged for a high-quality level 2 sacred herb, 10,000-year-old phoenix ginseng. This medicine could help her break through to the illustrious soul realm in the future. She also exchanged for a large amount of precious cultivation techniques and equipment. Her harvest could be considered very rich. Yun Yao also exchanged for a good sacred herb to help her break through to the 5th awakened soul layer in the future. She also exchanged for a few recipes, ancient books, and cultivation techniques to contribute to the family. Who said the Yin family was weak? The Yin family was about to counterattack. When the Yin family was cheering, the Chu, Luo, and Yi families all had gloomy expressions. Logically speaking, it was impossible for the challengers to obtain such a high score. Obtaining over 100 points was already a good result. So these people must have had a fortuitous encounter in the trial space. Damn it, how could it be like this? At this time, Nangong Yun and Yun Yao had angry expressions on their faces. Chu Xinghe is a despicable person. He actually launched a sneak attack on us. Everyone was stunned. Yin Tiana quickly asked what happened. Yun Yao did not even have time to speak before Nangong Yun angrily shouted, Chu Xinghe took advantage of us being unprepared and suddenly launched a sneak attack on us. We were both killed by Chu Xinghe. Otherwise, we would have obtained more points. Yin Yao also had an angry expression. This method was too despicable. It was fine if they were defeated in a direct confrontation, but that bastard Chu Xinghe used a sneak attack on them. When Yin Tiana heard this, he revealed a shocked expression. You're saying that Chu Tian is still inside? Moreover, he is fighting against Chu Xinghe, Luo Xianglong, and Yi Tianlang by himself? Boss has a protective talisman that can block one attack, so Chu Xinghe's sneak attack shouldn't have been able to kill him. In an instant, Yin Tian's face turned white. Now it was the Chu, Luo, and Yi family's turn to reveal a fiendish smile. If Chu Tian fought against the three of them by himself, even if one used there, but to think, they would know what would happen. Feng Kai Dai, Yin Xiao, and the others' expressions all changed. Yi Tianlang and Luo Xianglong did not just want to kill Chu Tian, they wanted to cripple Chu Tian to vent their hatred. This is bad. Chu Tian was in danger. Chapter 187. Yin Yao had been instantly taken care of. Chu Tian was alone. How could he fight against the strong and overbearing three young masters? The weakest among them was Yi Tianlang, but he had already reached the fourth awakened soul layer and had been the fourth awakened soul layer for over a year. Adding in the fact that his family's monster wolf transformation had been cultivated to the large success realm, he also had the secret skills of the Ye family, and he had fought with Yi Wudao for many years, so he had rich battle experience. His attack power, explosive power, and speed were all at a level that normal illustrious soul realm experts would find hard to fight. So what if Chu Tian won by luck in South Sky City? Everyone knew that he did not rely on his own strength, but rather he had borrowed the power of the Yin corpses and the array. If he really fought with Yi Tianlang, with Chu Tian's cultivation base, even if he had 10 lives, it would not be enough to kill him. Not to mention Luo Xianglong, who had the strength of a dragon and tiger, as well as the dazzling, undefeatable Chu Xinghe. Yin Tian's face turned livid, and Chun Bingyu's face was covered in ice. The Chu, Luo, and Yi families revealed looks of joy. Chu Tian, Chu Tian, you also had a day like this? Now that you've fallen into our hands, even if you don't die, you'll still be crippled and thrown out. Meng Yingying and Meng Qingwu were in the Yin family's camp. When they heard this news, they were shocked. What should they do? Chu Tian was in big trouble this time. A Ye family elder walked in front of the two of them. Once Chu Tian is crippled, your backing will fall. Do you think the Yin family will continue to fight against the three great families for you two? Yin Tianhe angrily said, What do you want to do? Offending the three great families at the same time, it's impossible to escape unscathed. The Ye family elder coldly smiled at the two of them, but this was all done by Chu Tian, so we can be merciful and give you two sisters a path to live. Now hand over the miracle commerce to us three families, and we'll let you two sisters live. Being servants is already a kindness. This is too much. Yin Tianhe gave a loud roar, and the Ye family elder was sent flying. This old man is here. It's not your turn to be arrogant. Meng Qingwu and her sister were furious. Too abominable. Chu Tian hadn't come out yet, and these fellows were in a hurry to swallow up miracle commerce. This Ye family elder had the support of the three great families, so he was not afraid of Yin Tianhe. The three young masters have a conflict with Chu Tian in the Central State Tower. So what if they kill or cripple Chu Tian? Shun Fengho couldn't stop it. After this, no matter how angry Yin Tianhe was or how dissatisfied the Divine Wind Marquis was, the Divine Wind Marquis couldn't just pull out the three great families, right? The two of you, think carefully. The Yin family can't protect you at all. Without Chu Tian's miracle commerce, what are you? Central State's four great families were the cornerstones of Central State City. The entire Central State County, from the main city to the small villages, were all influenced by the four great families. These several hundred-year-old families, if one of them fell, it would cause a large wave, not to mention three of them. If the three young masters crippled Chu Tian in the trial tower, would Shun Fengho be able to kill the three great families in a fit of rage? The three great families already had victory in their hands. As for whether Chu Xinghe's group of three could take care of Chu Tian, did they even need to think about this question? Offending them. This inning was already letting him off too easily. Who would have thought that at this moment, the Central State Tower would begin to tremble? The three great families raised their heads in anticipation. Was Chu Tian about to be thrown out? This was a moment of pride, so everyone opened their eyes wide to watch. A beam of light shot out from the top of the tower. Several numbers appeared in the night sky. 236 points. It's only 236 points. A member of the Ye family deliberately shouted out. The Yin family's waist has only obtained 188 points. The others also began to ridicule him. Yin Xiao was so angry that his teeth itched, but he had no other choice. Actually, this result was a very eye-catching result in the past. This time's results were very normal. It could not even compare to Nangong Yun's, while the people from the three great families were still laughing. At this time, a person in a sorry state was suddenly thrown out of the tower and slammed into the ground. When everyone saw this person, they all stared at him like they had seen a ghost. All the ridiculing laughter was like a duck being grabbed by the neck, instantly silencing them. It wasn't Chu Tian? Wasn't this Yi Tianlang? This young man looked to be around 24 or 25 years old, wearing a moon-white robe. He had a tall stature and a devilishly handsome face, but his face was filled with anger as he roared out into the sky. Little brat Chu Tian, we can't live under the same sky. It really was Yi Tianlang. The people from a Ye family that had been laughing at Chu Tian's low points almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Yun Xiao began to loudly laugh as he shamelessly said, isn't this Prince Tianlang? How could the famous Prince Tianlang only have this low points? It seems like brother spends his days drinking and gambling, spending his days in brothels. He isn't any worse than Prince Tianlang. The Yin family broke out in laughter. The three great families were completely stunned. There were only the three young masters, and Chu Tian left in the Central State Tower. Why hadn't Chu Tian been kicked out, and instead Yi Tianlang was kicked out? Yi Wudao's scarred face twitched like a centipede as he asked in a deep voice, "What is going on here?" Yi Tianlang's pale face turned red. In front of this many people, he couldn't say that he had been defeated by Chu Tian. Yi Wudao had lost all his face and was filled with rage. "Quickly say it. It's Chu Tian." Yi Tianlang threw caution to the wind. "That despicable and sinister fellow. He sneak attacked me." Everyone was in an uproar. What was going on here? This is the funniest joke I've ever heard. Not to mention whether Chu Tian sneak attacked you or not. Even if he did, so what? Nangong Yin said in a sarcastic voice. Could it be that Chu Xinghe sneak attacking us is honorable and Chu Tian sneak attacking you is despicable and sinister? What a good mouth, truly worthy of being a stray dog, young master. I think you only know how to bark. Meng Yingying's morale was greatly boosted as she immediately said, "That's right. The stray dog young master only knows how to bark and bite people. With just you people, you want to swallow up Chu Tian's miracle commerce? In your dreams." Yi Wudao and his son were filled with rage. The two of them did not even have time to react before the Central State Tower began to cheer, and a string of numbers floated out. 257 points. Luo Xianglong's tall and sturdy body was sent flying, and he fell to the ground, falling flat on his face. This time it was the Luo family's turn to vomit blood. What was going on? It was fine if Prince Tianlang was eliminated, but now even the Dragon Tiger young master had come out? But, damn! Luo Xianglong faced the strange gazes of everyone and felt ashamed and angry at the same time. Chu Tian's sneak attacked me. The Yin family and the spectators all broke out in laughter. What a good sneak attack! In front of the three young masters, Chu Tian first sneak attacked Yi Tianlang, and then Luo Xianglong. Did the three young masters eat shit? Even a sneak attack in front of them was still a sneak attack. Everyone in the Luo family was furious. Originally, the hatred between the Luo family and Chu Tian was the lightest. Although 2 elders and several deacons had been killed, there were only 2 ordinary elders, and ordinary deacons were even more insignificant. Until the Central State Great Games. Chu Tian had beaten Luo Jinshi half to death, causing the Luo family to lose a trial spot. Only then did they begin to hold a grudge against Chu Tian. In the end, not only had Chu Tian crippled Luo Jinshi, he had also thrown Luo Xianglong out of the trial tower, shaming the entire Luo family. This was a great shame. The Luo family members' eyes turned red as they gritted their teeth. They had to tear that fellow Chu Tian to pieces. The Ye family and the Luo family were all united against a common enemy. The Chu family was still calm and indifferent. Luo Xianglong and Yi Tianlang were only second-class people. The Chu family did not care about the so-called four young masters. How could three mediocre people compare to the divine flood dragon? There was only one genius in Central State City. That was Chu Xinghe. Whether it was mentality, talent, luck, or courage, Chu Xinghe was the best of the best. He had cultivated the Chu family's soul sword secret art to perfection and had even reached the large success realm in the ancient sword cultivation technique, Imperial Flood Dragon Transformation secret art. Chu Xinghe alone was comparable to the other three young masters. So when they saw Yi Tianlang being eliminated and Luo Xianglong being eliminated, the Chu family did not panic at all. This was because the entire Chu family believed that Chu Xinghe was unrivaled in the younger generation. Chu Xinghe had been successful ever since he became famous. There were many rogue cultivators and geniuses that were shocked by his brilliance. In the end, they willingly bowed to Chu Xinghe and worked for him. It was impossible for such a powerful man to lose. This was the only person in Central State City that could become a superstar like Shen Fenghe. Luo Xianglong was eliminated, and Yi Tianlang was eliminated. The Chu family was not angry. Rather, they were secretly happy. After this battle, the gap between the families would be pulled apart. With Chu Xinghe's fortuitous encounter in the trial tower, the other three young masters would not be able to catch up. Around half an hour passed. Hong hong. The Central State Tower began to shake, and a beam of light shot into the sky, revealing a number, 400 points. It had broken 400 points. It was exactly 400 points. Everyone cried out in shock. Yin Yao's record had not even been set for 2 hours, and it had already been broken by an even higher record. Was this Chu Tian's record? This was quite reasonable. Although many people couldn't deny it, Chu Tian still had some skills after all. Who would have thought that under the gazes of tens of thousands of people, a bleak figure slowly walked out from the tower? A blue robe, a golden sword, a white jade crown, a tall stature, and a powerful aura, just like a treasure sword. However, this treasured sword that was radiating a sharp aura had lost its usual sharp and cold aura. Instead, it looked like it had rusted. It was Chu Xinghe. The crowd was dead silent. Why was it Chu Xinghe who walked out? No one could have imagined this kind of result. The Chu family's minds went blank because this was too unbelievable for them. Chu Xinghe was a legend of the Chu family. When they saw a legend being destroyed, how could they not be shocked? Chu Xinghe was stunned for a few seconds. Xinghe, what's wrong with you? Chu Xinghe's expression was not right. He stopped moving and his eyes did not have the usual arrogance, only a blank and empty look. When he looked over everyone, he suddenly revealed a smile. I've lost. After saying this, he spat out a large mouthful of blood and fell to the ground. Quickly save him. The Chu family was shocked. They all surrounded Chu Xinghe and quickly carried him down. At this time, Chu Xinghe had already lost consciousness, falling into a coma. It was clear that when Chu Xinghe walked out, he was already seriously injured and could only force himself to walk here. This is bad. A senior elder took Chu Xinghe's pulse, and his expression changed as he said, "The young master's meridians are being burned by the netherworld flame. They are all showing signs of withering. I'm afraid his cultivation will be greatly reduced." The Chu family were all paralyzed. This was not because of Chu Xinghe's injuries. It was because this kind of injury could only be caused by a single person in Central State City. That was Chu Tian's netherworld flame sword art. In an instant, the last of the bubbles had burst. The Chu family had no choice but to face a cruel reality. The proud, complacent, and limitless leader of the four young masters had actually been defeated by Chu Tian's hands. Chu Tian hasn't been eliminated, but the three young masters have been eliminated? Chu Xinghe has never been defeated before. How'd he do it? Yun Tianhe, Chun Bingyu, Xiong Wuji, and all the spectators were deeply shocked by this result. No matter the cost, we must kill him. We must kill him. The hatred of the three great clans surged out like an avalanche. They had clearly realized that they had provoked a monster. This monster was not strong at the moment, but once he was allowed to grow, the three great clans would no longer have a place to stand in the Central Plains. In the distance, on a large tree, Shen Fengho's body was covered in a black cloak. He never thought this kind of ending would happen. The last person to survive was Chu Tian's trivial second awakened soul layer cultivator. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. But people couldn't help but believe it. Chapter 188. Why did Chu Xinghe lose to Chu Tian? Actually, the reason was very simple. Chu Xinghe was too confident and thought that he could scheme against Chu Tian, not knowing that his every move was being grasped by Chu Tian. Chu Tian had found a substitute talisman in the purple gold treasure chest in the craftsman's palace. This talisman could swap bodies and could be used to block a fatal attack. Chu Tian had hidden the talisman behind a mirror from the beginning. Chu Tian had purposely exposed the light mirror array's blind spot. When Chu Xinghe thought that his attack had fooled Chu Tian, he exploded out with his strongest attack, attempting to kill Chu Tian. In the end, the moment Chu Tian was attacked, he automatically swapped places with the substitute talisman and appeared behind Chu Xinghe, seizing the chance to stab him with his sword. Chu Xinghe was very strong. There was no doubt about this. Although Chu Xinghe was only at the peak 4th awakened soul layer, not to mention a normal 4th awakened soul layer cultivator, even a 5th or 6th awakened soul layer cultivator would not have a 100% chance of blocking him, especially when he was in the man and sword as one state, using the heaven-cutting art. But this person's character flaw was too big. He was arrogant, proud, and blind. This kind of seemingly strong person was actually very weak. He believed that he was the strongest and could not tolerate failure. This kind of belief allowed him to grow faster, but once he received a blow, he would not be able to recover. Chu Tian's sword had not only caused a long-time injury that could not be healed, it had also caused a destructive blow to his vanity and fragile heart. So if there were no accidents, he would not be able to recover in a short period of time. Chu Tian walked into the giant, glowing door. When he passed through the door behind him closed. Chu Tian could not return to the giant's labyrinth and was now in a very strange space. It was a magnificent palace. Chu Tian walked a few steps, and the crisp sound of gold and silver came from under his feet. When he looked down, he was stepping on a small mountain of gold and silver jewels. The dazzling light made it hard for him to open his eyes. As far as the eye could see, the entire hall was filled with mountains of gold. That spectacular scene was beyond imagination. Numerous spirit-linked soul tools were displayed in front of their eyes, sacred medicines that were hard to find in the entire country, top-grade materials that were rarely seen in the world, priceless treasures, and incomparably powerful cultivation techniques were everywhere in this place. It was hard to imagine. Treasure. This was the real treasure. Any one of them here could be exchanged for an astonishing amount of wealth. The little fox's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. There were so many treasures, so many rare and precious items. If they emptied the entire vault, they wouldn't have to worry about food and drink for 100 years. The little fox could eat for 100 years. One could only imagine how many treasures there were in this palace. Congratulations, young human. A low and solemn voice sounded in the main hall. You've passed the final trial. You will obtain the ultimate treasure of the trial tower. The little fox looked around, but it couldn't find the person speaking. Chu Tian knit his brows. The so-called treasure is these common things. No, you have two choices. First, you can take away as many treasures as you can in the vault. For an awakened soul cultivator, this is an unimaginable amount of treasure. It will allow you to live a luxurious life without worrying about food or clothing for the rest of your life. The voice did not even finish. No need to say anything else. Chu Tian directly cut it off. I choose the second option. Oh, the voice in the main hall had a trace of surprise in it. You don't even know what you will face if you choose the second option. Are you sure you want to give up the wealth you have at your fingertips and chase after an illusory and dangerous opportunity? This doesn't seem like a rational choice. Wealth and status? You think I'm lacking money? The little fox scratched its head, clearly not satisfied with its master's decision. Chu Tian firmly said, I want to choose the second option. The voice in the main hall was silent for a few seconds before the low and deep voice slowly said, the second option, you will have chance. This is something that countless almighty beings have dreamed of. But if you choose to accept it, it will also mean danger. You might die because of it. Your wisdom, your ambitions, your ideals, they will all turn into nothingness. Your family, your friends, your lover, they will all be gone forever. Have you really thought this through? Chu Tian's eyes flashed with a trace of fanaticism. Don't talk nonsense. If I can't even accept a little bit of risk, what is the use of having wisdom and ambitions? The magnificent main hall disappeared. The little fox anxiously reached out to grab it, but whatever it touched, it was all nothingness. The gold mountain disappeared. The divine weapons disappeared. The sacred medicines and treasures disappeared. The entire main hall dimmed and fell into chaos. Finally, it turned into a simple and broken bronze ancient hall. Although it was very large, it was very rusted, and there was a kind of ancient vicissitudes of life everywhere. Reaching this point is enough to show your ability. Opening the array is enough to show your wisdom. Resisting the temptation is enough to show your wisdom. You meet all the requirements. You have the qualifications to obtain this inheritance. The little fox laid on Chu Tian's shoulder and gave a few cries, as if it was very angry. Did this fellow treat this fox as if it didn't exist? Even if its master didn't want the treasures, this fox did. The little fox looked around for a long time, but it couldn't find the location of the speaker. Or perhaps it could be said that there was no one speaking at all. It was just a consciousness. This consciousness had already merged with the bronze ancient hall. How many years has it been? This consciousness had a feeling of relief. You are the first person to reach this point. Chu Tian couldn't help silently criticizing it. Wasn't this nonsense? This trial tower's difficulty was very high, and it restricted the participants' age and cultivation bases. Even in the era Chu Tian lived in, there weren't many people that had the ability to pass it. The Bronze Palace's voice continued. I'll remind you one last time. Although you have the qualifications to receive the inheritance, it doesn't mean you can accept it. If you can't fuse with it, you will die in the end. Chu Tian slightly knit his brows and then revealed a relieved smile. Oh? Then I want to see what kind of inheritance it is that can make me die in the end. The Bronze Palace did not say anything, and a mysterious power descended onto the main hall. With a rumble, the ground in front of them split apart, revealing a pool of sparkling and translucent liquid. This liquid looked like the water of life. It was clear, sparkling, and suffused with a gentle light. However, it contained powerful energy, and its quality far surpassed that of ordinary water of life. In this mysterious pool of water, Chu Tian could feel an ancient great desolate aura. Could it be something left behind from the great desolate era? Not to mention what kind of water it was. Just a trace of great desolate energy within it made the value of this pool of water hard to estimate. The little fox's sparkling eyes stared at the pool as saliva dripped from the corner of its mouth. Before Chu Tian could stop it, it jumped out and prepared a drink to its heart's content. At this time, the little fox suddenly felt some kind of pressure. It was startled and hurriedly ran back. Chu Tian was a little surprised. There weren't many things in this world that could scare the little fox. When he looked at the pool, he saw a whirlpool in the center of the pool, and a 10-meter-tall crystal pillar slowly rose up, appearing in front of Chu Tian. Chu Tian couldn't help taking half a step back. The little foxes first stood up as it revealed a strong hostility. When a crystal pillar appeared, there was an ancient divine god aura that instantly filled the entire main hall. It made Chu Tian's soul tremble, and his main source spirit couldn't control itself, as if it had been provoked. This is... Chu Tian revealed a look of shock. The remains of an ancient god? In this 10-meter-tall crystal pillar, there was a giant head sealed. It had a bronze head and iron forehead, with horns growing from its head. It was around the size of a house. However, this head seemed like it had been attacked by a terrifying power, as a third of it had been destroyed. It was only the head of an ancient god that had been dead for millions of years, but it still released a strong aura that made it hard for Chu Tian to move. It was like his legs were sealed by some kind of power. Ever since the Great Desolate Continent shattered and the Great Desolate Era ended, there were no longer any demonic gods in this world. There were still the remains of demonic gods in every plane, and the value of these remains was hard to imagine. Chu Tian had wanted to obtain an ancient god's corpse to study in the past, but after searching over half the continent, he couldn't find a single fragment. The fragments that had already been dug out were all kept by the large sects and powers, not lending them out at all. He never would have thought he would be able to find an ancient god's head here. Although there was only 2/3 of this head left, it was still considered a rare, complete head. Demonic gods were existences with unlimited lifespans, so if he could obtain a demonic god's corpse, it would be a great help to Chu Tian's research. The ultimate hidden treasure in the Central State Tower, was it this ancient god's head? It could contain a secret that surpassed life and death, as if it matched the legends of the Central State Tower. Your expression doesn't change in the face of divine might. The Bronze Palace's voice sounded out again. Young human, your quality is higher than I imagined. Chu Tian gave a snort. It's just a dead head. Is this my prize? That's fine, I'm barely satisfied. I'll take it with me. The thing I want to give you is not my head. What? Your head. Chu Tian almost peed his pants in fright. Could it be that inside the Bronze Palace, the one talking to him was the soul of an ancient god? Were there still living demonic gods in this world? Chu Tian thought of this. He suddenly became very excited. Spiritual god. This was a spiritual god. Wasn't that the realm he had been chasing after? As a scholar, Chu Tian had too many questions he wanted to ask. There were too many unsolved mysteries from the Great Desolate Era. Now that a living being had appeared in front of him, what could be more exciting than this? Even if he didn't obtain anything from this trial, just a chance to talk to a spiritual god was enough to make this trip worthwhile. Chapter 189. I can't answer any of your questions. The Bronze Palace's voice was very calm, as if it could see through Chu Tian's thoughts, because I have already fallen long ago. I only sealed a strand of my remnant will, so my memories of the past have vanished. Remnant will? Not only was this thing logical, but it also had the ability to think. How was a strand of remnant will? If an ancient god's remnant will was so powerful, then how terrifying would an ancient god's complete consciousness be? But there is no need to be disappointed. The ancient palace's voice sounded again. A gray crystal descended and quietly stopped in front of Chu Tian. Take it. This is the crystal of the remnant memories of the past. If you can leave this place alive, you might be able to find the answer. An ancient god's memory crystal? It was truly a priceless treasure. Chu Tian revealed a joyful expression and carefully held the crystal. The ancient god's fall seemed to be very sudden and did not leave behind any inheritance. Even this memory crystal was very fragmented and the contents were very chaotic. Even with Chu Tian's ability, it would take a long time to decipher it. The Bronze Palace continued. I can feel that you have extraordinary power and wisdom. This fragmented knowledge can help you, but it cannot bring about any fundamental changes to you. It's far from enough for your dreams and ambitions to be realized by relying on it. This strand of ancient god's remnant could indeed peer into the heart. Chu Tian did not notice it at all, but he did not care. What do I have to do to escape the shackles of fate? Open up a realm that humans cannot reach. Human, you're still too young. A sigh came from the ancient palace, filled with vicissitudes and desolation. Fate cannot be changed. Even gods and demons cannot escape their fate, just like the destruction of the primordial era. I don't believe it. Chu Tian frowned. There is nothing impossible in this world. The ancient palace emitted a leisurely, tide-like energy. Chu Tian was in a trance as he was placed in a vast river of stars. A river flowed in all directions, grand, and surging. Trillions of small fish were swam forward by this river's great power. What was going on? Chu Tian turned into a small silver fish. Among the billions of fish, he was so inconspicuous, no different from the other fish. Chu Tian struggled with all his might, but he was unable to break free from the power of the river. He could only let the river carry his body in a fixed direction. Chu Tian seemed to have understood something. Fate was like a river. The gods were like ants and the supreme beggars. There was no difference between the strong and the weak. They were all fish in the river. Were they destined to be brought to the same direction and destination? Chu Tian's body emitted a trace of hostility. What a bullish asterisk team metaphor. I don't believe it. Chu Tian roared, and a powerful aura emanated from the silver fish's body. Kaleidoscope-like pupils appeared in its eyes, and an ancient and mysterious power enveloped it, resisting the impact of the river. The small silver fish swam to the side bit by bit, directly crashing into the whirlpool in the river. The entire illusion immediately disappeared, and Chu Tian returned to the ancient palace. All living beings are fish in the river of fate. The ancient palace's voice was like the ringing of an ancient temple's bell. It was low and melodious and contained wisdom. Perhaps a person with powerful strength and consciousness like you can change a fish or even a school of fish. But always remember, the fish can never change the direction of the river, nor can they leave the river. It was like a wise and old man was diligently teaching a child. Life and death, prosperity and destruction. If there is creation, there is destruction. If there is life, there is death. The cycle of fate has always been fixed. There is no true immortality in this world, and there is no such thing as eternity. I can feel your ambition, but no matter how strong you are, don't try to challenge fate. That will make you lose yourself, and you will be pulled into the turbulent whirlpool of fate and torn to pieces. It was just a remnant thought. It made Chu Tian feel like he was looking up to a tall mountain, facing a great existence that had lived for countless years. This was the first time he felt the limits of a mortal's wisdom. Chu Tian pondered. Then what is the inheritance you're talking about? How can it help me? A kind of power. The bronze palace became solemn. This is a power that comes from the river of fate, and it is also the power that killed me. I hope that you can obtain it and try to grasp the laws of the river of fate. A power that can kill gods. That's right, I did not fall during the great ancient era, but rather I died under this power. Gods and demons were existences that could not be killed. When the great ancient era ended, the laws and order changed and contradicted each other, finally causing the land suitable for gods and demons to no longer exist. Gods and demons lost their immortal bodies, causing a large number of gods to fall. Could it be that gods and demons could be killed by other powers? Although my body has fallen, I have sealed this power that killed me in my skull. After countless years of slowly refining it, it has now condensed into a seed. I hope that one day this seed will sprout in this world, and the goal of this trial tower is to find an inheritor like you. This power could even kill a divine spear in the past. Could Chu Tian withstand it? This was obviously a rather risky inheritance. The little fox revealed an anxious expression. It used its claws to pull at Chu Tian, telling Chu Tian not to be impulsive. Chu Tian was indifferent. He withstood the pressure of the ancient god's head and walked forward step by step. He felt as if every step he took was as heavy as a mountain, and he even left a row of footprints on the sturdy ground. Interesting. Chu Tian walked into the pool of water from the great ancient era and stood in front of the incomparably large crystal pillar, slowly opening his hands. Then let me have a look. As you wish. Hong. A surge of energy erupted. The little fox was sent flying by a wave of energy. Chu Tian instantly entered the crystal pillar. Of course, he didn't appear in his flesh form. but rather in his main source spirit that was like a demon god. That giant broken head was right in front of him. An invisible energy poured into Chu Tian's source spirit like he was enlightened. This energy was just too strong. One eye represents an extreme power, and 9 eyes represent 9 strong powers. A surprised voice came from the Bronze Palace. You have the potential of a demon god. Very good. Very good. You will be a very good inheritor. The feeling of his soul being torn apart suddenly exploded. This kind of feeling, he had experienced it when his source spirit was born. Was he going to produce a source spirit again? You make it sound so scary, but it's not as hard as you think. No matter what kind of power it is, Great Master Chu Tian will accept it. Chu Tian gave a loud roar. The entire crystal pillar was shattered by the tremors. On the forehead of that fierce main source spirit, a crack appeared and a new eye appeared, but this new eye was closed. 9 is the extreme number. 9 is the supreme number. His potential is already incomparably strong. No wonder he can easily withstand this power. The Bronze Palace's voice slowly said, adding another number above the extreme number. What kind of good fortune is that? It really makes one look forward to it, but it's a pity I can't see it. Chu Tian was covered in exhaustion. What's going on? Why can't I feel any changes? The ancient god's remnant consciousness seemed like it could see through Chu Tian's thoughts. That ancient voice slowly explained, I am only responsible for leaving a seed. When it germinates and whether it can germinate, it all depends on fate. What if it can't germinate and grow? That's also because of fate. You are destined not to be able to control this power. This was too irresponsible. When the source spirit absorbed new power, there would indeed be some changes. Chu Tian could not say what the changes were, but a strong feeling of weakness enveloped him. It was like a giant hole had been opened in his body, and he needed a large amount of power to fill it. Chu Tian sat down in the pool and immersed himself in the water. The entire pool of sparkling liquid had nourished the ancient god's skull for many years, so it already contained the power of a demonic god. It could be used to repair Chu Tian's body. Chu Tian took out a starlight stone and held it in his hand. Instantly, the water in all directions began to slowly flow. The starlight stone released a faint starlight that covered Chu Tian's body, making him look like a god descending to the mortal world. After obtaining this new power, Chu Tian had a chance to break through. With the help of the demonic god's water and the starlight stone in his hand, it was enough for him to make a leap. Chu Tian quietly cultivated like this. An entire day and night passed. He was like a sponge, absorbing almost half of the water. Pung! Chu Tian jumped out and his body turned transparent. His skin was like a top-quality diamond, but it released a faint starlight. Success! The starlight immortal body had successfully advanced to the diamond body. Chu Tian's cultivation base had easily reached the triple awakened soul realm. Chu Tian's cultivation technique had also advanced, and his strength had increased by a large amount. Remember, unless it is a life and death situation, do not forcefully open the 10th eye. You are far from being able to control this power. The voice in the ancient bronze hall became softer. Maybe one day, the seed will awaken, grow, and become stronger. At that time, even the demonic gods will tremble for you. You mean there's still demonic gods in this world? It is still too far for you. Chu Tian's spirit was roused. Although the other party did not directly answer, it basically admitted that the demonic gods had not died. Maybe they had just left this world. My mission is complete. Wait. Chu Tian felt the other party was about to leave and immediately grabbed the fox. Can you help me see what it is? I don't know, its bloodline contains a strong potential. Its ancestor must not be simple. Maybe it was a great demonic god. But because of my memory loss, I cannot tell you the exact answer. Isn't this nonsense? I also know its ancestor is not simple. I also know its bloodline is not simple. Just what the hell was this guy? What kind of ability does it have? The little fox proudly curled its lips, as if it was saying to Chu Tian, now do you know how strong this fox is? Quickly give me good food and drink. This fox will become a great demonic god in the future. Naturally, I will protect you. Hey, is having a rich ancestor that amazing? Chu Tian hit its head. You are just a greedy and lazy damn fox. The little fox indignantly cried out. The trial tower's time is over. The ancient bronze hall's voice was not willing to say anything more. My last worry has been fulfilled, and I will fall into an eternal slumber in the primal chaos. I will give you one last small gift. Farewell, inheritor. Chu Tian quickly shouted. What are you called? Please tell me. Regardless of whether the power was useful or not, he had received the other party's inheritance, so he should know the other party's name. However, the ancient bronze hall did not respond. Names were not important to this kind of existence. The pillar of light was completely shattered. Several black crystals fell from the ancient god's skull. Chu Tian gave a sigh and picked up the crystals to examine them. His heart suddenly skipped a beat. Blood? The blood of a spiritual god must be very precious. This divine blood was sealed by some kind of restriction. Even if he took it out of the trial space, he would not need to pay any price. It was clear that the ancient god had left it here on purpose. Otherwise, with the trial tower's rules, things obtained from outside the trial space needed trial points to be exchanged. How many trial points would an ancient god's skull require? It was simply unimaginable. This divine blood was enough. Chu Tian put away the divine blood and prepared to leave. The little fox gave a few cries and excitedly circled around the fragment of the divine skull, looking for something inside. Chu Tian knit his brows. What are you doing? You can't take these things out. The little fox picked up a large crystal-like jade ball and happily jumped up and down, just like a monkey that had picked up an apple. This thing was several times bigger than the little fox, so it should be the ancient god's eyeball. Then the little fox blocked Chu Tian's face and directly put the large eyeball into its mouth. That millstone-sized eyeball was covered in some kind of energy, and it shrunk at a speed visible to the naked eye, finally turning into a size that could be eaten by the little fox. Chu Tian was shocked. Are you crazy? Quickly throw it away. This was a divine corpse. Could it be eaten as it pleased? Even if it was the little fox's body, it might not be able to take it. The little fox looked at Chu Tian with disdain. Like it was eating a small fruit, it picked up the ancient god's eyeball and threw it into its mouth. Chu Tian did not even have time to stop it. He could only slap his forehead. It's over. The little fox held its throat as it cried out, rolling around in pain. Its little body turned red and instantly inflated, becoming several dozen times its original size, almost becoming a small mountain. Chapter 190. The little fox's body continued to expand, and its belly became round. He couldn't even see its head or four limbs, only leaving behind a giant ball that was over 10 meters in diameter. He really didn't know how this fellow's body grew. From a fist-sized little thing, it instantly expanded to a 3 to 4 story tall giant, but its body didn't even explode. Chu Tian didn't know what to do. The so-called heaven's sins were pitiful, but one's own sins couldn't be avoided. The little fox becoming like this was all because it was too greedy. How long had it been since it was born? It actually tried to swallow the divine corpse. Wasn't this just nonsense? Chu Tian couldn't do anything. Whether it could survive or not depended on the little fox. He hoped that this fellow would have a good life and rely on its innate bloodline to resist the expansion of its divine power. The little fox's body continued to expand until it was over 20 meters tall. Then it gave a long cry into the sky and spat out a large amount of things from its mouth. Complex runes appeared on its belly, and its perfectly round belly began to shrink back. Ding, ding, dang, dang. All sorts of things fell to the ground. A half-eaten corpse core, a chewed-up honey brick, all kinds of strange materials, and even gold, silver, and jewels fell to the ground like rain. Chu Tian's nose almost went crooked from his anger. This bastard actually stole so many things from Father. Moreover, it didn't digest them at all. Rather, it used some kind of method to store them in its stomach. Just the gold coins alone were in the hundreds of thousands. I was just wondering why my money was always mysteriously missing. It turned out that it was stolen by this damn thief. What use do you have for money? Confiscate it. He had to confiscate it. Just as Chu Tian was about to take it back, he heard a long roar that caused the entire hall to shake. A fat fox that was more than 10 meters long suddenly pounced down and used its claws to protect the things it spat out. This was something it had painstakingly collected under its master's eyes. Those gold coins were used to buy snacks and food. Chu Tian gave a sound. This fox had already recovered. However, the little fox was still over 10 meters tall, and its body was as fat as a ball. The large furry tail on its, but had already turned into 9. A 9-tailed fat fox? Was this its original form? What the hell is this? The fat fox's body slowly shrunk. 8 meters, 5 meters, 3 meters, 2 meters, half a meter. Finally, it returned to its original size, and its tail turned back into a single tail. The little fox hurriedly stuffed all its personal goods back into its stomach before letting out a long sigh of relief. It wagged its big furry tail with a beaming expression on its face. Look, what about the god corpse? This fox will swallow it without hesitation. Chu Tian went up and smacked his head. F***CKU. The little fox didn't seem to have changed much. It was probably because it couldn't digest the ancient god's eyeball and used some kind of method to preserve it in its body. If the little fox had this kind of ability, why didn't it bring a few more fragments of the god's corpse? When the little fox realized his intentions, it quickly waved its paws and shook its head like a rattle drum. Don't even think about it. I won't do it, even if you beat me to death. Swallowing this thing was simply too uncomfortable. Chu Tian used all kinds of threats and promises to the little fox. Finally, he was barely able to move it, and it agreed to pack something else. It rummaged through the god corpse fragments for a while. In the end, it picked up a bone that was as clear as jade. A piece of the ancient god's spine? Chu Tian nodded at the little fox. The little fox revealed a brave expression as it braced itself and swallowed the bone. In the end, the scene from before repeated itself. After 10 minutes, everything returned to normal. The little fox was already exhausted and couldn't even crawl. Chu Tian knew that he had reached his limit. Nothing could be forced. Going too far was as bad as not doing enough. All right, I'll give you a merit. Chu Tian grabbed the little fox, and one person and one fox walked out of the Bronze Palace. When they walked out of the Bronze Palace, the entire world was filled with chaos. A voice was transmitted into his mind. Surviving for 40 hours will be rewarded with an additional 200 trial points. Chu Tian looked at the jade token in front of his chest. There was a string of glowing numbers that clearly read 1352 points. This was Chu Tian's final score. Entering the reward space. The space around him reformed, and Chu Tian appeared in a void. There was no ground or sky. It was like a chaotic world. There were all kinds of treasures floating around him, and each treasure was covered in a barrier of light. So many. Chu Tian had already reached the triple awakened soul realm, and now he had to try to break through to the 4th awakened soul layer. There was a bottleneck between the 4th awakened soul layer and the triple awakened soul. If there was no outside help, it would be hard to break through even after 3-5 years. Chu Tian needed a sacred herb. There were many treasures in the Central State Tower, but they were all level 2 items. There were occasionally level 3 items, but they were very rare. Of course, level 2 pills were suitable for awakened soul cultivators. Chu Tian quickly found a good material. An ancient vine that was like a dragon coiling around it. There were 3 fruits on top of it. 1,000-year Bodhisattva fruit, a level 2 medium-grade sacred herb that required 220 trial points. The Bodhisattva fruit was a very rare level 2 material. It was born in a harsh environment and grew in the core of the earth. It was an elixir the moment it was born and could become a sacred herb in 1,000 years. This kind of herb contained the earth source chi. Not only could it increase one's cultivation base, it also had many other uses. Sacred herbs were also divided into different grades. In the Central State Tower's reward space, most of them were low-grade sacred herbs that could be exchanged for over 100 trial points. From the peak of the triple awakened soul layer to the 4th awakened soul layer, the low-grade sacred herbs should be enough. Chu Tian pursued stability and directly exchanged for a medium-grade sacred herb. Chu Tian could not forget Ying Ying and the others. He generously spent 660 trial points and took all 3 bodhisattva fruits at once. The most important thing had been exchanged, and Chu Tian still had most of his trial points left, but he did not know what to exchange for. Chu Tian did not lack weapons, and he was not interested in cultivation techniques. As for pill recipes and ancient books, who knew where the ancient god had collected them from? Anyways, they did not have any value to Chu Tian. What is this thing that actually requires this many points? Chu Tian found a large gourd. This gourd was half the height of a person, and it was completely green in color. There was a treasure light flowing around it that seemed to contain mysteries. There were even faint yin and yang fishes swimming around it. Limitless gourd, innate treasure, quality unknown. It has the ability to refine pills, store items, and absorb energy. It requires 650 trial points. Chu Tian did not know what race the ancient god had hired to build this trial tower and collect many treasures. This large gourd was clearly not normal. Chu Tian could not tell what it was. There were no traces of it being refined at all, which meant it was an innate treasure. The so-called connate treasures were things that were born in the natural world and could be immediately used and controlled by living beings. For example, Chu Tian's netherworld flame. For example, the large gourd in front of him. Was this thing a spatial storage tool from the ancient space? Actually, in the era Chu Tian lived in, there were storage tools everywhere. There were rings, bracelets, and even closed pockets. There were large spatial chests and space warehouses. As long as Chu Tian had enough materials, Chu Tian could immediately create a storage tool. So, just a storage tool was not worth Chu Tian spending large amounts of trial points. The most important point was that Chu Tian knew from the trial space's introduction that the gourd could not only be used to store normal items, it could also be used as a pill refining furnace. It could even be used to refine weapons, brew wine, and etc. It could also absorb energy and, at a critical moment, defend against attacks. It was a storage tool, a portable pill furnace, a refining furnace. It could even brew wine, and it could even be used as a defensive tool. Chu Tian carefully felt it and was surprised to find that this gourd still had a strong life force. It was like a large tree that was still in its seedling state. As long as it was properly cultivated, it would have a large room to grow. This was not its final state. Not simple. Although the price to exchange for it was a bit expensive, this kind of rare innate treasure could only be found by luck. If Chu Tian missed this chance, it would be hard for him to find a similar substitute in the future. Those weapons, equipment, and cultivation techniques, they were all boring in comparison. Chu Tian decisively swapped out the gourd. Chu Tian did not have any trial points left, so other than exchanging them for useful items, he exchanged them for some normal items. It would be good to give them to his little brothers as gifts in the future. Chu Tian discovered a cultivation technique called 9 Inai Soul. From the outline that was displayed, this cultivation technique seemed to have its merits. If he took it out and modified it and combined it with Chun Bingyu's cultivation technique, he would be able to create a higher level cultivation technique. Although Chu Tian was very knowledgeable, it was still hard to create something out of nothing. However, it was not hard to modify or combine a cultivation technique. I'll swap it out. I'll use it as material. Chu Tian took out all the items stored in the trial space's storage talisman. This talisman was an illusion of the secret realm, so it could not be taken outside. A large pile of equipment and materials from the trial space, including the precious 10,000-year-old spiritual honey, the cultivation technique, and the Xidigarba fruit, were all placed into the large gourd. He put the gourd on his back. Not bad. Not bad. This thing was quite easy to use. Chu Tian found several good items, but he had used up all of his trial points. He could only let out a helpless sigh. He had thought that he had enough trial points, but it was not enough. The power sealed in the ancient god skull had been transferred into Chu Tian's body, but Chu Tian had no way of using it, and he did not know what this power was. But even if he didn't look at this, this trip to the trial space was still a large harvest. The people living in this era were too fortunate. There were hidden ruins everywhere, and any one of them could be explored. Perhaps there would be a shocking harvest. Chu Tian prepared to leave. Little fox, we've finished. We should go. Before he could say the last word, Chu Tian seemed to have been hit by a light. He forgot one thing. Wasn't the little fox also a trial participant? Although it had snuck in, it had obtained a trial jade token. This meant that the little fox also had trial points. Moreover, this fellow had killed several hundred demons before opening the treasure room, and each demon had given him a large amount of trial points. The little fox could at least obtain 700-800 trial points from a single battle and 200 points from passing the trial space. Just this alone had already broken through 1,000 points, and adding in the points he had obtained on the road. So, this fellow's total points might not be lower than father's. Chu Tian touched his shoulder and found that the little fox had already disappeared. No wonder, I was wondering why it was so quiet. It had already slipped away. Chu Tian was very clear on the little fox's bad nature. So how could he not know what it wanted to do? He was so angry that his lungs almost exploded. Fuck, this damn fox. Chapter 191. Little fellow, come out. Chu Tian floated around the reward space. This place was just too big. How could he find the little fox's figure? I'm warning you. Hand over your trial points and treat it as your maintenance fee for this period of time. If you dare embezzle it, I'll smack your butt. No matter how he looked, he couldn't find the little fox. This was puzzling. When the little fox swallowed the divine bone, it was already half dead. How could it run away so quickly and without anyone noticing? Chu Tian seemed to understand something. This guy was really too cunning. It had long expected that its deceptive master would blackmail it, so it pretended to be weak and exhausted. As a result, once it entered the reward space, it took advantage of Chu Tian's moment of inattention to slip away. Damn, angering me to death. Chu Tian gritted his teeth in anger. You think I can't find you just because you're hiding? The mind's lamp lit, and his divine sense was released. Chu Tian quickly floated around the reward space as his divine sense scanned over half of the space. This time a little fox had no way of hiding. Rather than being caught by its master, it would be better to surrender itself. A white, cotton-like figure crawled out from the corner. Chu Tian hooked his finger. Give it to me. The little fox took off the necklace and pitifully raised its claws, placing the jade trial token in front of Chu Tian. That's more like it. Chu Tian took the jade token and looked at it. He almost spat out smoke. What the hell is this? Where are your points? The jade trial token was a large 0 character. When did this bastard use up his trial points? The little fox's eyes flashed with a crafty look. It looked at the chaotic sky with an innocent look on its face. Don't play dumb with me. Chu Tian directly grabbed its tail and slapped its butt. Back in the insect nest, you said you would give me half of it. You're going back on your word. What did you exchange for? Spit it out for me to see. The little fox was held upside down in his hand, and its pair of bright eyes looked at its master. It blinked a few times as if it was snickering. It looked like it was saying, "Is this your first day as a fox? Don't you know that sometimes people don't keep their promises?" What a joke. How would the fox know that he could earn so many points? Isn't it just a piece of spiritual honey? It's not even enough to fill the gaps between my teeth. What do you take master for? I, your master, am extremely righteous and kind. I would never bully small animals. Chu Tian rubbed the little fellow's head and put on a smiling face. You're not cultured, and you don't even know a few words. What if you get a fake? Master is a knowledgeable person, so I have the obligation to help you analyze it. Quickly take it out, and let me show you. What did you exchange for? The smiling tiger revealed an ominous glint in his eyes, harboring malicious intentions. The little fox turned its head to the side. Your acting is too exaggerated. Regardless of whether it was threats or carrots, it turned a blind eye, looking as if it would rather die than hand over the item it had exchanged for. Good, you treacherous fox. In both of Chu Tian's lives, he had always cheated people. No one had ever cheated him, not to mention a small animal. You said you would give me half, but you actually took it all for yourself. Spit out the 10,000-year-old spiritual honey. Not spit it out. The little fox was going to act shamelessly to the end. This fellow really was not afraid of being beaten for 3 days. Chu Tian directly taught it a fierce lesson. Along the way, the little fox had obtained quite a few trial points. It was close to Chu Tian's, maybe even not below Chu Tian's. It would be enough to exchange for 7-8 sacred herbs. The little fox was a glutton, so it would most likely exchange for food. But if it really exchanged for a large amount of materials, it was impossible for Chu Tian not to feel it. The little fox could exchange for a few common treasures, like that needle. It would hide it in its stomach and only take it out when it needed to be used. The little fox was certain that its master couldn't do anything to it, and Chu Tian couldn't do anything. He couldn't just split open its stomach, right? So he gave it a fierce lesson. Since it helped him bring out the divine bone, he let this matter go. I don't have time to waste with you. I'll deal with you later. Chu Tian placed the fox with its swollen, but on his shoulder and walked out of the trial space's gate. The world shook and a strong energy pulled his body out of the central state tower. When Chu Tian came back to his senses, he was already standing in front of the central state tower's gate. At this moment, the sky was bright and the sky was clear. Chu Tian had stayed in the central state tower for 3 days and 2 nights, which was more than twice as long as everyone else. The little fox's heart was filled with joy. Its master really did leave. Although it had been beaten on the butt, this beating was worth it. It had gained quite a bit in this short period of time. The little fox stood on Chu Tian's shoulder and looked around. The large families were still here, and only the Chu family had retreated. However, at this moment, everyone was in a petrified state. The central state tower released tens of thousands of rays of light, and a giant number floated at the top. 1,352. Break. It broke 1,000. This was something that was simply impossible to achieve. The Central State Tower's record had been broken 3 times, from 300 to 400 and finally to over 1,000. This last jump was simply a miracle. This was an unprecedented result. Could they not be shocked? Chu Tian had defeated Yi Tianlang, defeated Luo Xianglong, and even defeated Chu Xinghe. Finally, he had given everyone an explosive shock, gaining over 1,300 trial points in one fell swoop. There were many geniuses in the past that couldn't even compare to him. Wah. Meng Yingying happily charged forward. Chu Tian, you're too great. I simply worship you too much. Just how did you do it? Meng Qingwu followed behind her little sister. Although she wasn't dancing with joy like her little sister, her beautiful jade face was still red. Even with her personality, it was hard for her to suppress her ecstasy at this moment. Chu Tian's record would become a legend in Central State. The little fox's eyes turned and it took out a simple bronze mirror from its mouth. After making a few chirps, it gave it to Meng Yingying with both hands. Wah, such a beautiful mirror. Meng Yingying happily received it. The little fox is too thoughtful. You didn't forget to bring me a gift. This is at least a high-grade soul weapon. It's a bit too precious. The little fox generously waved its claws. A small gift. There's no need to be polite. Then it took out a jade silk armor from its mouth and presented it to Meng Qingwu with its claws. Meng Qingwu revealed a smile. For me? It's very beautiful. Thank you. Chu Tian was seething with anger. Father hasn't even sent a gift yet, and the damn fox has already stolen it. This is simply stealing my limelight. These 2 trivial, high-grade soul weapons added together would only be worth around 100 trial points. Compared to the points it had obtained, it was just the tip of the iceberg. This fellow really knows how to win people's hearts. Chu Tian was very depressed that the trial tower only showed Chu Tian's points and not the little fox's. Was it because it was a stowaway? Either way, the Meng Qingwu sisters were liking the little fox more and more. Yin Tianhe recovered from a shock after a long time. This young man really didn't make people feel at ease every time. Did he feel uncomfortable if he didn't create a sensation? This time it was too shocking. Chu Tian was very satisfied with the trial and prepared to bring everyone back. The Ye family and the Luo family suddenly brought people to surround them, instantly blocking the path of Chu Tian's group. Yin Tian's face sunk when he saw this. What are you doing? Actually, the one that suffered the most in the Central State trial was not the Ye family or the Luo family, but rather the Chu family. Chu Xinghe had completely fallen from his pedestal because of his relationship with Chu Tian. This kind of loss to the Chu family was hard to estimate. Chu Xinghe had always been regarded as someone that could compare to Shun Fenghe. It was unknown how many of the Chu family's retainers had come for Chu Xinghe. They were all hoping that Chu Xinghe would be bestowed the title of Marquis to benefit from it. Now that the legend had been shattered, it was unknown how much chaos it would cause. The Chu family needed to stabilize their retainers, and adding in the fact that Chu Xinghe was heavily injured, they didn't have time to see the final result, so they quickly left. The Ye family and the Luo family had reached an agreement. They couldn't leave. They had to stop Chu Tian. Luo Yinsheng coldly said, "We've received news that Chu Tian has opened the Central State Tower's treasure stash. The Central State Tower is Central State's most important treasure, so the treasure should belong to everyone in Central State. So, I ask you to obediently hand it over. Daring to embezzle the treasure, we will not forgive you." What a high-sounding reason. Of course, Yin Tianhe wouldn't accept it. Since the founding of Central State City, there's been a rule that any rewards obtained by the Central State Tower's participants will belong to them. The participants have the right to do whatever they want with it. You dare to openly extort them. Don't you feel ashamed? Yi Tianlang coldly said. If it was a normal treasure, then forget it. The Central State Tower's treasure is related to the prosperity of Central State City, so it cannot fall into the hands of a brat. If he forcefully takes it, then we can only take care of him on the spot. That's right. Hand over the treasure. Hand over the treasure. The several hundred elites of the two families shouted out in unison, looking like they were about to make a move. Yi Wudao revealed a fierce glow like a wolf. Otherwise, don't think of leaving this place alive. Now that it had come to this, the families did not care about the treasure. They just needed a reason to get rid of Chu Tian. Yin Tianhe and Chen Bingyu, the two true Soul Realm experts, were enraged. A terrifying pressure covered the two families. Luo Yinsheng and Yi Wudao did not back down. We are thinking of Central State City's benefits. Surnamed Yin, your Yin family is one of the four great families. Since you're protecting the thief who stole the treasure, my family will fight to the end for Central State City's benefits. That's right. Kill that thief Chu Tian. Return my Central State's treasure. The Ye family and the Luo family had a lot of people with close to 100 awakened soul cultivators. Although Yin Tianhe and Chen Bingyu had the advantage in cultivation, if the two families were to fight, it would turn into a fierce battle. In the end, both sides would suffer heavy losses. At this time, a low and deep voice rang out. "Sirs, it's best if you calm down." Central State's great General Xiong Wuji led his elite troops over. Xiong Wuji was the great general of Central State, ruling over the Central State Army. The Xiong family was a first-class family, but they could not compare to the four great families. Xiong Wuji's personal strength was very strong, not much weaker than the Chu, Luo, and Yi families. Xiong Wuji, as the great general of Central State City, you should think of Central State City's benefits. Yi Wudao said with a calm face, "So please distinguish right from wrong. Don't stand on the wrong side. The great general will help us take back the Central State treasure." Luo Yinsheng directly said, "The Xiong family can also get share." Yin Tianhe was shocked. Xiong Wuji was an important force. The Ye family and the Luo family were already hard to deal with. If the general's family was added in, it would be a big problem. Ha 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 ha. Surnamed Xiong, is it funny? I'm laughing at you not knowing what's good for you. I'm laughing at your ignorance. I'm laughing at your lies. The Central State Tower's prizes always belong to the participants. How could there be a treasure? Xiong Wuji said with a dark face. Chu Tian is a member of my military headquarters. If you want to move against him, you'll have to ask this great general for permission first. What? A member of the military headquarters? Everyone was shocked. That's right, Xiong Wuji directly said. Chu Tian is the Central State Guerrilla Warfare General. He is a member of my military headquarters. The lungs of the three great families were about to explode. It was reasonable for the Yun family to go against them, but this bastard Xiong Wuji dared to openly provoke them. What did his Xiong family count for? Wasn't he seeking death? Yi Tianlang couldn't hold it in anymore. If Chu Tian doesn't die, Central State will fall into chaos. Luo Xianglong also roared out. This person can't be left alive. Yi Tianlang angrily roared out. Chu Tian, do you dare fight me one-on-one? One-on-one. Everyone was stunned. Luo Xianglong also roared out. If you're a man, don't use dirty tricks. If you have the guts, fight me, Luo Xianglong fair and square. Do you dare? You're just using your cultivation to suppress others. Nangong Yun angrily roared out. If you have the guts, then try fighting Chu Tian with the same cultivation. Yi Tianlang and Luo Xianglong completely ignored Nangong Yun. Do you dare fight? Good, good, good. The stray dog young master and cat young master haven't been taught a lesson and still want to kill me? Chu Tian did not plan on pretending to be deaf and mute. He suddenly roared out, instantly shocking everyone. Don't say that I didn't give you a chance. I don't think there's any need. You two pieces of trash can come together. Yin Tianhe was shocked. Chu Tian interrupted him. This battle, no one is allowed to interfere. Chapter 192. Prince Tianlang and the Dragon Tiger Young Master. Didn't they say that Chu Tian had ambushed them? Didn't they want to kill Chu Tian to be happy? Didn't they treat Chu Tian unfairly? That's good. Chu Tian gave them a chance. He directly challenged the two Central State geniuses to a duel. The shock from this sentence was too great. It was like a bolt of lightning from the clear sky, heavily bombarding them. It was so deafening that everyone was dazzled. The young man's blue robe was old and simple, but his eyes were as bright as the stars. His eyes were like a divine lamp that no one could look at as he aggressively asked, "One sentence, do you dare to fight?" The faces of the two great families turned pale. If it was before, Chu Tian's words were simply seeking death. But now it was different. The three great families had suffered different degrees of attacks, and that arrogance had even shaken the three great families. Although they knew that Chu Tian's cultivation could not defeat Yi Tianlang and Luo Xianglong, but they did not know why their hearts did not have any confidence. This young man did not act according to common sense and always exceeded their expectations. They were truly a bit afraid. If something happened to the third-generation disciple, the glory of the three great families' new generation would be drowned out. The fame of the four young masters would become the laughingstock of Central State City. A moment ago, the three great clans had been overbearing. Now they were all mute. Chu Tian broke out in laughter and aggressively asked, "The Central State four young masters, do you not even have the courage to fight? Let's fight." Yi Tianlang angrily roared, "I will tear you to pieces." Yi Tianlang had already been ruthlessly defeated once. Because of this, he did not have any worries. His mind was filled with revenge. He wanted to wipe out this shame, wipe out this shame, wipe out this shame. Wasn't the best way to do this in front of everyone and tear Chu Tian to pieces? Back in Tiannan City, Chu Tian had humiliated him in such a manner. This had already become a shadow in Yi Tianlong's heart for the rest of his life. If he did not take revenge for this, it would be difficult for him to achieve anything in this life. "I will personally tear this piece of trash to shreds." Seeing the hesitation of the Luo family, Yi Tianlang said coldly, "If the Luo family doesn't dare to participate in the battle, just watch from the sidelines." Who said I don't dare to fight? Luo Xianglong's personality was calm and violent. Moreover, he did not believe that with a trivial Chu Tian strength, what qualifications did he have to fight with him? No matter how powerful the treasures Chu Tian had obtained were, he would not be able to escape. He didn't even have an illustrious soul realm cultivation. An early-stage awakened soul cultivator, what qualifications did he have to fight against a middle-stage awakened soul cultivator? The reason why Chu Tian was able to defeat the three young masters in one fell swoop in the trial space was purely because of the powerful mirror array. If he didn't have this mirror array, he wouldn't have the qualifications to be so arrogant. The Luo family patriarch, Luo Lianqing, frowned and asked in a low voice, "Are you confident? This person's strength is average. What is there to be afraid of?" Luo Xianlong's eyes released a cold glow. Today, in front of the four families, even that fellow Yi Tianlang dares to fight against him. If I don't make a move, wouldn't I be laughed at? Since he took the initiative to challenge me, I'll just kill him. Shen Fengho won't be able to say anything. Luo Lianqing was silent for a few seconds. The Luo family will participate in the battle. Chu Tian counted with his fingers. All right, since it's like this, then let's make a move. Since it's an open challenge, then we need the entire city to witness it. Luo Lianqing was very calm. He needed a bit of time to prepare. On one hand, he needed to investigate Chu Tian's background, and on the other hand, he needed to make sure he could kill Chu Tian in 3 days. The Central State Great Arena, life and death battle. Chu Tian shrugged his shoulder. I have no objections. Yi Tianlang couldn't wait to make a move, but the Luo family wanted to postpone the battle. He couldn't help feeling depressed and was about to object. How can there be no witnesses when we take revenge? Yi Wudao said from the side. 3 days it is. The Ye family will accompany you to the end. Both sides reached an agreement. The intense conflict came to an end. On the way back to Chu Tian, everyone anxiously asked him, "Did you obtain a powerful ancient treasure?" "No." "Did you obtain an ancient inheritance that can increase your strength?" "No." "Then what did you obtain? Can it increase your battle strength?" "Although I obtained something in the trial tower, I can't use it right now. It might not be useful in the future, so it all depends on luck." "Are you crazy?" Nangang Yin had a look of shock. "You're challenging the two of them like this. Do you have confidence?" "I don't know." Chu Tian revealed a calm smile. In a one-on-one situation, he was very confident, but if the two of them fought together, his chances of winning would be even lower. "I'll give it a try." Everyone was about to go crazy with anger. When did this bastard ever grow a heart? Every time he acted recklessly, it was hard for people to accept. "You're being too impulsive," Yin Tian said with a serious expression. "The Luo family and the Ye family are 100-year-old families. They can't afford to lose this battle. They will definitely go all out, even using their family's secret weapons to guarantee a 100% chance of winning." Luo Lianqing's main goal for fighting for 3 days is this. How could Chu Tian not know this? But trouble would come, and it would only accumulate. It was better to solve a part of it first and suppress the arrogance of the two families. The Ye family and the Luo family would prepare. Did Chu Tian not know how to prepare? Ye family headquarters. Leaf Daodinier asked about everything that happened in the Tower of Trials in detail. Yi Tianlang honestly explained everything, not leaving out a single part. Chu Tian is truly a monstrous talent. Leaf Daodinier's ugly, scarred face darkened. He was able to defeat the three of you with the help of an ancient formation. Although it wasn't his own strength, the fact that he was able to do this is enough to prove that he's not an ordinary person. He is only a youth that is not even 20 years old. Where did his knowledge come from? So what? Yi Tianlang said. He can use an array to win in the trial space. I don't believe that he can use an ancient array in the Central State Arena. We can't underestimate him. We can only win this battle, and we must win it. A terrifying, killing intent radiated from Leaf Daodinier's body, filling the entire hall as if it wanted to pierce through the roof and into the clouds. Of course, victory is secondary. The most important thing is to kill him on the spot. Otherwise, we will become a disaster for our family. Victory, that was a must. What was more important than victory was to kill Chu Tian. Yi Tianlang saw his father's expression and his heart trembled. I won't let you down. Come with me. Yi Wudao brought Yi Tianlang to a secret room in the Ye family headquarters. Even Yi Tianlang had never been to this room before. In the middle of the room, there was a bloody altar that emitted an ancient aura. This was left behind by the Grand Elder for you before he left the Ye family. It's something my grandfather left behind. Yi Tianlang was shocked. The Grand Elder was the previous head of the Ye family. Ever since Yi Wudao took over the family, the previous head of the family became a Grand Elder. The Grand Elders of the Chu, Luo, and Yi families were no longer in Central State and had gone to other cities to seek benefits for the family. The Grand Elders were the family's last line of defense. I was prepared to give it to you after your strength increased a bit. Yi Wudao had a serious expression. However, since we've encountered this matter, we should open the altar ahead of time. Yi Tianlang asked, "What's in this altar?" This is a power extracted from the soul of the Ye family's ancestor before he died. It's sealed in this cultivation, transmitting altar, and only the head of the family has the right to open it. Your family's monster wolf transformation has reached the peak of the large success realm. With this power, it will reach the perfection realm, and you'll be able to grasp several family secret arts. Yi Tianlang revealed a look of excitement and shock. The Ye family actually had this kind of good thing? If Yi Tianlang obtained this power, compared to Chu Xinghe, he would only be lacking an ancient cultivation inheritance. Yi Wudao said, "We'll open the altar now. You must remember, the Ye family cannot tolerate sand in their eyes. You've already humiliated the Ye family, so if you don't take revenge this time, there will be no place for you in the Ye family." Yi Tianlang felt a chill run down his spine. "Yes, let's begin." Yi Tianlang walked in front of the altar, his heart filled with anxiety. He slowly placed his hands on the altar, and an ancient aura began to fill the air. Yi Tianlang instantly felt an invisible power enter his body. Yi Tianlang felt like he was hallucinating. He saw several figures practicing the monster wolf transformation in front of him. Although he couldn't see what they looked like, Yi Tianlang could feel the aura of the same bloodline. That's right. This must be an ancestor of the Ye family. That mysterious realm and martial arts entered Yi Tianlang's mind, giving Yi Tianlang a splitting headache. He almost couldn't endure it, but when he thought of the humiliation he received from Chu Tian, he released a strong fighting spirit and gritted his teeth, enduring it. Yi Wudao nodded his head from the side. Hatred made people grow. After this matter, Yi Tianlang would become stronger than before, and the third generation of the Ye family would appear in front of everyone. Luo family. Luo Yinsheng was sitting on a high throne with 10 senior elders standing on both sides. Luo Xianglong was bowing his head and cupping his fists as he stood in the main hall. The atmosphere was very solemn, as if they were holding some kind of ceremony. Luo Yinsheng was like a statue, sitting in his seat without moving at all. "Xianglong, do you know the mission of this battle? I vow to kill Chu Tian, to clear the name of the Luo family. It's good that you understand." Luo Yinsheng coldly said, "Chu Tian's appearance has disturbed the balance of power in Central State City. Now that the Yun family is in cahoots with him and Shun Fengho is protecting him, the other families are facing a serious challenge. If this person isn't eliminated, Central State will fall into chaos." Luo Xianglong confidently said, "Please be assured, Father, Chu Tian's skills are only SOSO. It will be hard for him to escape this disaster. It's good that you have this confidence. However, you can't underestimate the enemy." Yi Tianlang underestimated the enemy and went to South Sky City to kill Chu Tian, causing his reputation to suffer today. Luo Yinsheng said this and gently waved his hand. "Take it out." A senior elder held a treasure box and walked to the center of the main hall with a serious expression. "This item can help the young master." This is Luo Xianglong opened the treasure box. The main hall was suddenly filled with a fierce aura. A majestic lion and tiger's roar sounded out, causing everyone's heart to skip a beat. It was clear that they were shocked by this fierce aura. A pile of dark golden bracers was quietly lying in the treasure box. It was glowing, and the aura it emitted was threatening. Luo Xianglong said in a shocked voice, "9 lion and tiger bracers." Luo Xianglong was not unfamiliar with this item. This was one of the Luo family's treasures, and it could perfectly combine with the Luo family's lion and tiger dual phase cultivation technique. It was said that it could directly increase the strength of the 9 lions and tigers, making them invincible and unstoppable. This item was the remote Great Elder's most important weapon. However, after the remote Great Elder left the Luo family, he left this item behind. The 9 lion and tiger bracers are top-quality soul weapons. They are not inferior to the divine wind sword that Shun Fenghe used when he was young. Luo Yinqing said with a serious expression, "If my guesses aren't wrong, the treasure sword in Chu Tian's hand is the netherworld sword recorded in the ancient books. It is a soul-contracting weapon. However, the netherworld sword has been sealed for too long. Although it has been used again, the weapon's spirit has not recovered enough. This bracer is enough to restrain the netherworld sword." Luo Xianglong revealed a look of pleasant surprise, but he was also a bit depressed. "Why do we need to use a butcher's knife to kill a chicken? Don't ask so much, just take it and use it. We need to make sure there are no mistakes in this battle. Do you understand?" "Yes." Luo Xianglong held the treasure box with both hands. Reporting to the family head. At this time, a senior elder came into the main hall. "Sir Mayor has arrived. You can leave first." Luo Yinqing's eyes lit up, and he immediately looked at Luo Xianglong. Luo Xianglong quickly left, and Luo Yinqing stood up and said, "We invite the mayor in." Chapter 193. Mayor Feng Yunlong was led in by the Luo family's elder. He was dressed in plain clothes and did not have any attendants. His dark face was haggard, and he seemed to have aged quite a bit in just a few days. His eyes shined with a cold light, just like an old fox waiting for revenge. Feng Qingyun had been heavily injured by the insidious sword technique, and not only would he not be able to recover in a year or two, there would be repercussions. His potential would be greatly reduced, and he would not be able to compare to that vase Feng Kai Dai. Feng Yunlong had endured for many years and wanted to use this opportunity to solidify his position and his family's position. Who would have thought that he would fail in the end? How could he not feel hatred? "Sir Mayor, please restrain your grief." Luo Yinqing's heart was like a candle. It was because of this that he could borrow the mayor's strength. "Please have a seat, Mayor." "I won't sit. I want to hear your arrangements." Of course, Feng Yunlong didn't know about the arranged battle. The reason he came here in plain clothes was to find out the situation. That Chu Tian brat is too arrogant, and my clan brother is too narrow-minded. He has gone too far. This city lord can't swallow this. If he could take this chance to get rid of Chu Tian, it will be a great help to this mayor. What is the mayor saying? The Luo family and the mayor's palace are connected. The mayor's grudge is the Luo family's grudge. Luo Yinqing gave a confident smile. "I asked the mayor to be assured. Xianglong's strength is not weak. Not to mention that I have given him the 9 lion and tiger arms, increasing his battle strength by several times. You can be assured of everything." The mayor nodded in satisfaction. There should be no problem like this. But this is not enough. We need to make preparations. I need to make sure nothing goes wrong. Chu Tian, seeking his own destruction, is already set in stone. But just in case, we need to make more preparations. Even if the worst-case scenario happens, we can guarantee that Chu Tian will not live. Only, Luo Yinqing hesitated. "Forgive me for speaking bluntly, but Chu Tian has Shun Fenghe's protection, and he has Chun Bingyu and Yun Tianhe by his side. Our 3 central state forces can only hinder him, but we cannot gain the upper hand. So to achieve our goal, we need to borrow external strength." "Your meaning is, if I don't have enough inner force, I'll borrow external force," Luo Yinqing said in a low voice. "Right now, everyone is saying that Chu Tian has obtained the treasure. As long as we purposely spread the news to certain people, there will naturally be outside powers who will interfere. As a native family of the central state, perhaps we have no choice but to give face to Shan Fenghe, but it's hard to say for the other prefectures or royal city. Feng Yunlong's eyes lit up. What Feng Yunlong said made sense, but time was tight, and he could only try his best. This city lord will handle this matter. With the city lord's help, this arrogant brat won't be able to escape. After the two of them had a secret discussion, the city lord took his leave. Luo Lianxing laughed sinisterly. Chu Tian, Chu Tian, your talent is indeed enviable, but in the end, you are still too young. For the four great families to be able to strengthen themselves in central continent cities, 100 years of struggle. Can you even imagine our methods? The tallest tree in the forest will be destroyed by the wind. It wasn't a good thing to be too outstanding. People who were so ostentatious and arrogant usually couldn't last long. Central State City was filled with turbulent undercurrents. Chu Tian was in the center of the storm, but he didn't have any sense of urgency at all. Chu Tian didn't even go to the Yun family twice. He spent all day with the young Miss and Ying, inspecting the construction of the magnetic sound towers. He also bought several canned food factories and helped Ying improve the canned food recipe. The young Miss made a series of dazzling arrangements, allowing Miracle Commerce to open their sales channels in Central State. Source energy lamps, pills, talismans, phonographs, radios, they all began to sell in advance. Central State. This market with great potential was currently being embraced by Miracle Commerce. Chu Tian needed a lot of money. Even though he had obtained the medium-grade sacred herb bodhisattva fruit, it was not enough to refine a sacred-grade pill. Chu Tian still needed large amounts of supplementary materials. The medium-grade sacred herb was the main material, and the supplementary materials needed several half-step sacred-grade materials. Even the Yun family couldn't find all of them, so they could only spend large amounts of money to buy them all over the world. This expenditure was unimaginable, not to mention that Nangong Yun, Lin Mu, Fong Han, and the others needed to be trained. Now, they were buying materials while developing in Central State City. They hoped that the money Miracle Commerce earned would be enough to satisfy their needs. Because Chu Tian was about to fight Prince Tianlang and the Dragon Tiger Young Master, the families were all focused on this matter. They didn't have time to care about the small matters of Miracle Commerce, allowing Miracle Commerce to develop in peace. Right. This position is correct. Install the sound system. Chu Tian was busy commanding the workers to build a sound system in the square. It was similar to a sound system, and it had already been installed in the taverns, hotels, busy streets, and other public areas of Central State City. A life and death battle was about to begin. Chu Tian was not preparing for the battle, but rather he was playing around with something he didn't understand. Yun Tianhe was already so old, but he still followed behind this young master every day. The Yun family had placed all their bets on Chu Tian, not even hesitating to become enemies with the three great families. If something happened to Chu Tian, wouldn't the Yun family have nothing to eat? Ancestor. I really have to call you Ancestor. You should give us a hint and let us see a bit of hope. Yun Tianhe had collected all the information on Chu Tian. No matter how he analyzed it, it was a battle he would lose without a doubt. Not to mention 3 days and 3 nights. The Luo family and the Ye family. It was impossible for them to not do anything. These two families had a deep background, so they would definitely give Yi Tianlang and Luo Xianglong more cards in their hands. Chu Tian did not seem to have any hope at all. Meng Qingwu rode a beast carriage over and asked about the progress of the project. How many sound systems have you installed? Meng Ying counted with her fingers and said, not too many, not too few, 62, covering most of the public areas of Central State City. Do we still need to install more? Install. Install another 10 or 20 more. Chu Tian confidently said, don't look down on these speakers. As long as this goes smoothly, we'll be able to make a large fortune. All right. Meng Ying obediently followed Chu Tian's orders and immediately went to the next target. She was not worried for Chu Tian at all. What did that stray dog young master count for? So what if there was another stray cat young master? If 2 stray dogs and cats could deal with Chu Tian, they were truly daydreaming. When had Chu Tian ever lost? Meng Ying felt that it was very strange. That white-bearded grandpa was like a follower, anxious all day long. Why was he acting like this? She didn't care. Carrying out the task was more important. Young Miss Meng. Yin Tianhe walked beside Meng Qingwu and asked with a trace of hope, "There's only one more day until the duel. This old man can see that you are very calm, as if you're sure that Chu Tian won't lose. Is he hiding some kind of unique skill?" Meng Qingwu knit her brows and gave a bitter smile as she shook her head. "I don't know either." Yin Tianhe almost knelt down. Meng Qingwu was very calm, and she was very close to Chu Tian, but she was still confused. Was there any hope? "Aren't you sisters worried at all? This is a life and death duel." Yin Tianhe was about to go crazy. "You should advise Chu Tian and let him make some preparations." Meng Qingwu was also very puzzled. Although she had no idea, why couldn't she be worried? Could it be that after staying by Chu Tian's side for a long time, that calm and confident temperament had some effect on her? It couldn't be. Could it be that I've become like that little girl, Ying, blindly believing in Chu Tian? Pei Pei. Meng Qingwu did not want to become like her little sister. She listened to old Yun's suggestion and went to find Chu Tian to have a good talk. Chu Tian gave an embarrassed smile. "There's only a day left? All right, since it's like this, I'll go back and make some preparations. Ying, you have to complete the task I've given you." Meng Ying said with a smile. "No problem. You just need to be responsible for beating up those two cat and dog young masters. Leave everything else to this miss." She said like it was easy. Chu Tian returned to the headquarters and walked into the laboratory. This laboratory was hidden underground, and he really had to thank old Yin. If it wasn't for his help, Chu Tian would not have found such a good laboratory environment. Inside the laboratory, there were 18 large barrels. Each barrel was around 6 feet tall, and there was enough space for a person to fit inside. Each barrel was covered in bright red beast blood and was covered in dense runes. There were also large amounts of talismans, giving people a strange and sinister feeling. There was a black-clothed girl sitting in the middle as if she was guarding the laboratory. This person was none other than the Ice Queen Chun Bingyu. More or less, Chu Tian revealed a smile to Chun Bingyu. "Many thanks to Vice Principal Chun for personally guarding this place." Chun Bingyu stood up, wanting to say something but hesitating. Chu Tian took out a scroll. "I've used an ancient cultivation technique from the Central State Tower to make up for the flaws in your cultivation technique. Moreover, I've made some improvements to it, making your cultivation technique even better than before. Take a look first. If you don't understand, you can ask me. No need to be polite." Chun Bingyu excitedly took the scroll and looked over it. Her apricot eyes popped out, and she revealed a look of wild joy. Her full chest almost tore her clothes apart, making Chu Tian's eyes stare blankly. This girl really had a lot of material. I need to continue my experiment. If you don't have anything to ask, please leave for a bit. Yes, yes. Chun Bingyu was like a child that had received a reward. Her face lit up as she walked out the door. When she was about to step out, her feet suddenly stopped. "Is there something else?" Thank you." After Chun Bingyu said this, she quickly left. Chu Tian's smile was a bit sinister. The details of the cultivation technique were a bit profound, so Chun Bingyu would definitely ask him about it. Every time she asked, he would owe her another favor. Anyways, he just needed to tie her down. "All right, let me see my results." Chu Tian opened a barrel. If there was anyone else here, they would be shocked. The barrel was filled with a strange liquid that was currently bubbling, as if it was being refined. The thing being refined was not anything else, but a person. To be more accurate, it was a corpse. This corpse was completely soaked in the liquid, and there was a lot of black corpse hair on its body. It was a black-haired corpse, equivalent to an awakened soul cultivator. Chu Tian grabbed a bell and gently shook it. This corpse, soaked in the barrel, opened its eyes. Those were a pair of eyes that released a green glow. A strong corpse aura instantly filled the air. It's about time. Chu Tian found a beaker and first placed several scarlet red pills inside. These pills were the ones he found in the blood pool when he defeated the Tianma cult's branch master. Each pill was condensed from the blood essence of 1,000 cultivators. This thing could even be used by people who didn't cultivate demonic arts. It could replenish their blood essence and also increase their cultivation base. But for Chu Tian, the refining process of this thing was too harmful to the heavens, so he didn't want to use it on himself. Now was the time to use it. The pills began to melt. A large cup of blood essence that reeked of blood essence was finished. Chu Tian took out a bottle from his chest and carefully opened it. He poured 2 drops of dark golden liquid into the beaker, God's blood. The energy contained in the God's blood was hard to imagine. A single drop turned the entire cup golden. Chu Tian divided it into 18 portions and poured it into 18 large barrels. The ancient corpse refining technique in the ancient God's memory crystal, it seems like it really does have some skill. I hope it will be useful. Chu Tian muttered. Otherwise, I'll waste 2 drops of precious God's blood. How precious was the God's blood? Chu Tian had recently studied the ancient God's memory fragments. Most of the contents were broken, but Chu Tian still found some useful things. For example, there was an ancient corpse refining technique that used the God's blood to transform these corpses. If he could successfully refine them, these 18 corpses would become even stronger killing machines. This would be of great use to Chu Tian. Everything was done. Chu Tian began his preparations. There was only a day left before he had to fight the 2 young masters. Chu Tian was arrogant, but he wasn't blind. It was impossible for him to not make any preparations. Those 2 fellows were a bit troublesome. He hadn't bought all the materials in the past 2 days. If he didn't have all the materials, he wouldn't be able to make any preparations. He might as well go around and make the 2 families relax. Although he couldn't refine a saint pill, it was more than enough to refine a supplementary pill. Chu Tian directly refined a spirit-increasing pill that could temporarily increase his cultivation base. Moreover, it could continuously replenish his spirit energy during the fight. It could last for around a day, and after the effect ended, there would be no side effects. The reason why this pill was so expensive was because of this. Chu Tian could use this pill to temporarily reach the peak 3rd soul refinement layer. Although it was not a small gap, it was enough for Chu Tian to have a certain chance of winning. Chapter 194. The battle between Chu Tian, Prince Tianlang, and the Dragon Tiger Young Master had arrived. In just 3 days, the news had already spread throughout Central State City. Some of the surrounding cities had even received the news, causing the blood of countless cultivators and merchants to boil. They did not hesitate to travel thousands of miles to the main city to personally witness this historic battle that would change the structure of Central State City. The large Central State Martial Arena was filled with a sea of people. Almost twice the number of people had squeezed in. The surging of people was a spectacular sight. Go idle! Go idle! There was a group of very common-looking young boys and girls squeezed in the crowd, waving flags in their hands as they shouted, "Long live the Heaven Alliance!" The ones leading them were a simple-looking youth called Lin Fan and a tall girl called Lin Xian. That's right, they were the Lin siblings from South Sky City. The Lin siblings had created an organization called Heaven Alliance. When it was first created, it only had 6 or 7 people, but now it had expanded to around 60 to 70 people. They were all under 20 years old or around 20 years old. These youths were all fanatical admirers of Chu Tian. Most of them were poor children, some were orphans, and some were rogue cultivators. But they all had the same belief and goal, which was to follow in Chu Tian's footsteps and fight with Chu Tian as their role model. Lin Fan's cultivation had reached the 8th body refinement layer, and Lin Xian was at the 7th body refinement layer. They had prepared to come to Central State City to develop the Heaven Alliance and find a chance to join Miracle Commerce. Who would have thought that at this time? The news of Chu Tian challenging the 2 young masters had arrived. This was an earth-shattering feat for the Central Plains. The Lin siblings led more than 10 core members of the Heaven Alliance and traveled day and night without stopping. Finally, They arrived at the main city in the morning and went to the dueling grounds immediately. Fortunately, they made it in time. What kind of existence were the Central State four young masters? They were the role models for the younger generation of Central State City. Lin Fan and Lin Xian lived in South Sky City, and the fame of the four young masters had spread like wildfire. Now that they were facing their idols, what kind of result would there be? It made people nervous and expectant. Although Lin Fan and Lin Xian worshipped Chu Tian, they had to admit that this would be a tough battle, because no matter how domineering, cruel, and heartless the four young masters were, in the end, they still represented the most outstanding part of Central Continent City's younger generation. They were the face of the four great families and even Central Continent City. A Chu Tian appeared out of nowhere and defeated three young masters with a mere void soul realm cultivation. The head of the four young masters, Chu Xinghe, who had an overwhelming reputation and prestige, had yet to recover from his injuries. This was all thanks to Chu Tian. As soon as Chu Tian left the secret territory, he arrogantly announced that he would challenge both young masters at the same time. This unprecedented feat caused Central State City to explode. No matter the outcome of today's battle, Chu Tian would become a dazzling star on par with the four young masters. He would become a young genius that would be looked up to by tens of thousands of people in Central State City. Of course, the premise was that Chu Tian didn't die. Damn, there are so many people in the arena. Yun Xiao looked at the sea of people in shock. Even the outer perimeter of the arena was filled with people. What does this kind of battle have to do with them? They just want to join in the fun. Yin Yao knit her brows. Where is the Meng family's second miss? Didn't she invite us? Yun Xiao looked over the crowd, and his eyes suddenly popped out. He pointed at the most obvious spot. Quickly look, they're there. Elder sister is also up there. Why did these fellows go up to the stage? What the hell was going on? Today, Meng Yingying was wearing a new set of clothes. She was wearing a short green shirt and shorts with a white cloak, revealing a pair of snow-white thighs. Her beautiful straight hair fell over her shoulders, making her look like a pure elf, attracting the attention of many people. Meng Yingying giggled, revealing a bit of childish playfulness. You two are finally here? Quickly sit. Quickly sit. There was a black and red girl sitting beside Meng Yingying, as well as a white-robed old man. The red-clothed girl was Nangong Yun. The black-clothed girl was Chun Bingyu, and the white-robed old man was Yun Tianhe. With these people sitting on the main stage, they attracted a lot of attention. Yun Xiao was a little curious. Elder sister, why are you here? Nangong Yun had a look of anticipation and excitement as she said, What do you know? We're doing a live broadcast. Live broadcast? What live broadcast? Nangong Yun seemed like she couldn't wait any longer. Yingying, are you done yet? Boss has told you many times, you can't screw up at this time. Meng Yingying's head was covered in sweat as she fiddled with a piece of equipment. It's about done. Don't be anxious. Everyone looked at the equipment that they had never seen before. It was a short crystal stone pillar that was around several meters tall, and there was a source energy battery embedded in it. Meng Yingying connected a few strange wires to the crystal and pulled it from the back of the seat in front of the people. Done, Nangong Yun said. Quickly try it and see if it works. Meng Yingying's heart was filled with prayers. She adjusted it while speaking into the black crystal stone microphone. Hey, hey, hey! Echoes instantly came from all directions of the Grand Assembly. Not only in the arena, even in the Central State Square, in the bustling streets, taverns, and other public areas, all of the radios that had just been sold were filled with Meng Yingying's clear and melodious voice. Everyone was stunned. What kind of magic was this? It could actually transmit her voice to every corner of the city. Nangong Yun excitedly jumped 3 feet. My God, it's really easy to use. Meng Yingying proudly nodded. Of course, this is something that Chu Tian invented. Good afternoon, everyone. She turned her voice to the loudest and picked up a piece of paper to read. I am Miracle Commerce's Meng Yingying, and I will be broadcasting this top-class duel to the entire city. This broadcast is sponsored by Miracle Commerce and Miracle Radio. Do you want to sleep in your bed and listen to beautiful music? Do you want to listen to the latest news at any time? Do you want to learn Chelan Hall's top-class classes without leaving your home? All of this is possible. With just a single radio, your life will completely change. The entire Central State Arena was silent. The people in the Central State Square stopped walking. The mercenaries in the tavern stopped drinking. The gamblers in the casinos stopped making noise. And the customers in the brothels all stopped working. The several 100,000 Central State citizens were all deeply shocked. This was simply magic. What was a radio? How did Miracle Commerce do this? All right, returning to the main topic, is the Miracle Youth Chu Tian stronger, or is the stray dog and cat? Oh no, Tian Lang and the Dragon Tiger Young Master stronger? Today's guests are the Central State Academy's Academic Affairs Dean Yun Tianhe, Central State Academy's Internal Affairs Dean Elder Sister Chun Bingyu, Chelan Hall's Nangong Yun, and one of the 4 young masters, the Purple Lightning Young Master Yun Yao, and others. Before the duel begins, let's first hear their opinions on this match. Meng Yingying finished reading the paper and wiped away her sweat. She immediately gave the microphone to Chun Bingyu on her left. Chun Bingyu was completely stunned. She had always been taciturn and not good with words. She stammered for a long time, but couldn't say a complete sentence. She had no idea what this was, but when she thought that her voice would be heard everywhere, she felt very awkward and nervous. Meng Yingying anxiously squeezed her eyes together. She gestured with one hand and mouth. This is being broadcasted to the entire city. Give me some face and say a few words. Aya, Vice Principal Chun seems a bit nervous. Nangong Yun quickly saved the situation and pulled the microphone back. I am Miracle Commerce's Nangong Yun, responsible for managing Chelan Hall. Let's first ask Vice Principal Yun's opinion. What do I have to say? Yun Tianhe's old face turned red. Before he could refuse, Nangong Yun had already given him a microphone. Yun Tianhe was still a scholar and often attended conferences, so he did not have stage fright. Although it was a bit awkward, he still cleared his throat and said, "This." With the current situation, both sides have a chance of winning, so this old man does not dare make any wild guesses. Let's wait and see what happens first. Yun Tianhe's old voice spread throughout the city, and the citizens excitedly cheered. It really was Yun Tianhe's voice. This was too mysterious. The head of the Central State Yun family, the leader of the Yun sect, it was hard for these citizens to even see Yun Tianhe, not to mention hearing Yun Tianhe's voice. Luo Lianxing and Yi Wudao's faces instantly turned cold. What kind of important duel was this? Was Chu Tian's Miracle Commerce treating it like a game? There was even a F*King advertisement. This was simply a kind of naked contempt. There is no need to say, this kind of preposterous matter could only be arranged by Chu Tian. The only reason he did this was to show that he did not place this match in his eyes at all. The only value your 2 families have to father is to let me advertise for free. Under Yi Wudao's rage, he even shattered the railing. Luo Lianxing's eyes were also filled with flames. Even when death was near, he still did not know. Live broadcast, right? Good. I'll let you live broadcast. Let the entire Central State City see how you will die a miserable death on the stage. It was time for the match. A few loud and clear bell rings rang out. It's time to enter. It's time to enter. Meng Yingying picked up the other microphone and excitedly shouted. The one entering from the right side of the stage is the soul of Miracle Commerce. That's right. He has created countless miracles and brought benefits to countless citizens. He is a handsome and young man who dares to challenge the evil forces, Chu Tian. Ugh, disgusting. What was this? Meng Yingying almost vomited. What kind of words did this damn narcissist Chu Tian write for himself? The one entering from the left side of the stage is... Meng Yingying directly omitted a large part of Chu Tian's self-praise. Then her voice changed, and she shouted in a disgusted voice. 2 fierce-looking fellows, you can tell with a single glance that they are not good people. That's right. They have been defeated again and again, but they still do not learn their lesson. the Prince Tianlang Yi Tianlang, and the Dragon Tiger young master Luo Xianglong. Can it make a comeback this time? I think it will be very difficult. Everyone broke out in laughter. Two of the four young masters were being criticized like this. Miracle Commerce really was not afraid of offending people. This was a life and death battle, but it had been stirred up by a few people from Miracle Commerce, turning it into an entertainment for the public. There was no sense of urgency at all, but it was precisely because of this that everyone was even more interested in Chu Tianbao. Actually, most people did not think highly of Chu Tian. Although Chu Tian had won against the four young masters several times, he had only won with the help of external forces. This time, he had no one to rely on. So could he still be this calm? Just wait and see. Chapter 195. Meng Yingying and Nan Gongyun were using the temporary broadcast system, talking non-stop on the podium. Their voices were smoothly transmitted to all the public places in Central State City. After this duel, Miracle Commerce's radios would definitely cause a large explosion. Meng Qingwu had already made her preparations. She had recently bought several newspapers and recruited poets and musicians. So as long as the radios sold well, Miracle Commerce would immediately create a media company that would change people's lives through broadcasting. People did not need to leave their homes to understand what was happening in Central State City. They could also listen to music and stories. After Miracle Commerce opened the paid channel, people could spend money to listen to more useful information, knowledge, and even Qilin Hall's precious lessons. Because they needed to spend a large amount of money to buy materials, Miracle Commerce was a bit tight financially, and there was even a danger of running out of funds. But Meng Qingwu believed that once the company gained a foothold in Central State, gold would flow in like water, and they would not need to worry about money at all. Of course, all of this was based on this duel. Meng Qingwu did not go up to the podium to join in the fun. She just stood at the place closest to the stage. She was wearing a simple cloak and a large hood. Although her clothes were not eye-catching, her long and slender legs gave off an extraordinary aura, making her stand out from the crowd. There were 18 silent black, clothed people standing around her. They were all loyal guards. The surrounding crowd unconsciously kept their distance. The black-clothed people did not have any aura or killing intent, but they gave off a strange pressure that made people feel a bit afraid. Under the hood, a pair of limpid eyes stared at the stage, and the fists in her sleeves were slowly clenched. Chu Tian, he definitely could not lose. It wasn't that she didn't believe in Chu Tian. When she felt the aura of Prince Tianlang and the Dragon Tiger young master, Meng Qingwu's heart skipped a beat. The two of them were much more terrifying than she had imagined. Was this the power of the illustrious Soul Realm? Even if he did not release his source spirit, he could still create such a strong deterrent. Chu Tian stood in a corner of the martial arts arena, facing off against the two opponents. A solemn and somber atmosphere quickly spread throughout the martial arts arena. No matter how relaxed Miracle Commerce appeared, everyone held their breath. Everyone knew in their hearts that a life and death duel had begun. How could people not be nervous? The result of this duel could even change the situation of Central State City. I thought you would run out of Central State City with your tail between your legs. I never thought you would actually accept the challenge. Yi Tianlong's demonic eyes flashed with confidence as he asked in a condescending tone, "Have you thought about how you want to die?" I haven't seen this straight dog young master for a few days, and he seems to have changed into a different person. It seems that he has improved a lot, and I have a whole new level of respect for him. The corners of Chu Tian's mouth curled up in a mocking smile. With a relaxed expression, he said, "But I haven't thought about how to die. Why don't you give me some advice?" "All right." Yi Tianlang confidently walked to the center of the stage and said to Luo Xianglong on the other side, "Brother Luo can just watch the show. You and I are equally famous, so if we both attack a small shrimp, wouldn't that lower our statuses?" "All right." Luo Xianglong felt that this was reasonable. He crossed his arms in front of his chest, and a golden bracer appeared. "I'll just wait and see young Master Ye's high-level move." Yi Tianlong's demonic face revealed a wild and cruel look like a wolf. He licked his lips and laughed. I'll tear off your flesh piece by piece. Are you satisfied with this kind of death? Spirit energy fluctuations were released, and a fierce energy was released. The surrounding air began to tremble, and a wolf-like howl was released. Ayo! A demon wolf with dragon wings appeared. This wolf was too big, and it completely covered Yi Tianlang. Yi Tianlong's body seemed to have disappeared, and he had turned into a giant wolf. Cold, killing intent. An ancient, vicious beast erupted. It was hard for people to even breathe. The entire audience was covered in a suffocating pressure. Meng Yingying's beautiful face turned pale. She never thought that Yi Tianlong's strength would be this terrifying. He's making a move. He's making a move. Nangong Yun saw Meng Yingying stunned and immediately shouted into the microphone. The stray dog young master has released his source spirit from the beginning. It is the famous dragon wing demonic flame wave. With wings on his back and a demonic flame covering his body, it is unpredictable and has an endless might. Moreover, Yi Tianlong's aura has increased by a lot. After his source spirit is released, it has merged with his body, making it hard for people to tell if he is a man or a wolf. Yun Xiao also shouted, "This is the Ye family's cultivation technique, the monster wolf transformation. Using his source spirit to cover his body, the man and wolf become one, creating an endless might. Does he want to win in one fell swoop?" Chun Bingyu and Yun Tianhe tightly knit their brows. When the monster wolf transformation was cultivated to the perfection realm of the Ye family's cultivation technique, a man could turn into a wolf and a wolf could turn into a man. In a sense, the man and wolf had become one. Yi Tianlang had already reached this realm. Yi Tianlong's strength was not weak. With the perfection realm of the monster wolf transformation, his battle strength had more than doubled. Ah ha ha ha. The fierce demon wolf was 3 meters tall and 5-6 meters long. Its body was covered in a black, demonic flame. Although it was made of energy, its expression and demeanor were like that of a living demon beast. That giant wolf paw stepped on the ground. The stage was instantly shattered, and a scorch mark was left on it. How is it? This is the perfection realm of the monster wolf transformation. The giant wolf's eyes were fierce and demonic. It was exactly the same as Yi Tianlong's eyes. The most terrifying thing was that this wolf actually opened its mouth to speak. I'll let you experience the Ye family's true secret technique. Demonic flame sneak attack. With a single step, the ground cracked. The demon wolf's body was covered in flames as it charged at Chu Tian like an arrow. This might was too strong. Not to mention a normal awakened soul cultivator, they wouldn't even have the courage to face this kind of aura. The demon wolf did not come close. It first swept its dragon wings, and the demonic flames rained down in all directions. Yi Tianlang has turned into a demon wolf and is attacking from the front. Nangong Yun cried out in surprise. He will first use the demonic flames to seal Chu Tian, not letting him have any way to retreat or dodge. The demon wolf's strong body jumped out and passed through the demonic flames in the sky. Demon wolf morning soul claw. A terrifying claw glow that could tear through all obstacles flew at Chu Tian. He really was worthy of being one of the 4 young masters. He actually released this kind of attack from the start. It was simply hard to believe how strong it was. Chu Tian calmly used his mind's eye to scan the area, understanding the demonic flames in the sky. He activated his hyper-focus ability, and like a graceful butterfly, he subtly moved several meters. He pulled out the netherworld sword from his back and released the demon god's sword source spirit at the same time. A purple and black sword glow flew through the sky and clashed with the giant wolf's claw glow. The netherworld sword's energy absorption ability quickly absorbed the demon wolf's energy. Chu Tian loudly shouted, "Break!" The sharp claw glow was torn apart by the blade, and the sword glow did not decrease at all as it continued to slash at the giant demon wolf. Meng Yingying could not explain it because it was too fast. The demon wolf had shrunk its body several times in this critical moment. From the demon wolf form, it turned into a half-man, half-wolf form, dodging Chu Tian's sharp slash. Following that, its legs landed on the ground, and its palms slammed at Chu Tian's chest. Insignificant skill. Chu Tian had already seen through it. He tilted his sword and slashed down at an angle. Shwa! A single slash cut off the wolf's arms. Pooh! A sword glow pierced through the wolf's chest and sent the wolf flying into the air. Hong! The third slash came down from above, and the wolf was cut in half in the air. A giant sword mark was left on the ground. Too fierce! Too fierce! Nangong Yun excitedly shouted. Chu Tian used a clean sword technique to cut Yi Tianlang in half in 3 slashes. This has truly opened our eyes. Meng Yingying's doubt was what everyone else was thinking. Is Yi Tianlang that weak? The wolf that was cut in half gave a strange smile, and its body suddenly exploded, turning into countless arrows. Chu Tian instantly saw through the trajectories of the arrows and blocked them with his sword. At this moment, Chu Tian was completely surrounded by the black flames. The endless black flames seemed like they were alive as they all connected together. There was a sudden explosion. Where Chu Tian was standing, there was an earth-shattering explosion. The black flames soared into the sky, and the heat waves spread to all 4 stages, making everyone feel anxious. Damn! Yi Tianlang deliberately scattered the black flames around Chu Tian and then used a secret technique to explode the black flames. Nangong Yun angrily shouted. Because he was standing in the middle of the flames, there was no way for him to dodge, and he was instantly engulfed by the explosion. Everyone cried out in shock. The energy contained in the black flames was enough to easily kill any expert under the illustrious Soul Realm. Yi Qianlong's series of attacks was to scatter the black flames and then explode to kill Chu Tian. Did he succeed? Not just in the arena. The people in the other areas of Central State City held their breaths as they listened to the battle. When a gust of wind blew past, the smoke was scattered. In the center of a large hole, Chu Tian's body was not injured at all. He was surrounded by a layer of starlight, and the netherworld sword in his hand was ice blue, just like a piece of 10,000-year-old ice. I know, Meng Yingying excitedly cheered. Chu Tian has used his sect's unique protective technique, Starlight Immortal Body. That's why Yi Tianlong's attacks were useless. Nangong Yun let out a sigh of relief. In this intense exchange, the two of them could not decide a winner. It can only be considered a draw. Everyone's hearts that were hanging in the air finally calmed down. They never would have thought they would actually fight this intensely. Hey, you have some skills. Yi Tianlang appeared at the very beginning, as if he had not moved at all. My clone doesn't even have 30% of my main body strength, but you can block its attack. This means that you're much stronger than when you were in the trial tower. But this is also good. If you didn't have any strength to resist, then this game would be too boring. Chu Tian revealed a faint smile. I also think so. What is going on? Meng Yingying did not understand and asked into the microphone. It seems like they haven't moved at all. It's the monster wolf clone. Yin Tiana's low and deep voice was transmitted through the microphone to every corner of the city. Yi Tianlong's monster wolf transformation has been cultivated to the peak, and he has grasped the Ye family's secret technique, the monster wolf clone. From the beginning, Yi Tianlang has not made a move at all. The demon wolf that attacked Chu Tian was just a clone made from spirit energy. Chun Bingyu added, he is probing Chu Tian's strength. Everyone's expression changed. This kind of terrifying and fierce attack that dazzled everyone's eyes was actually just probing. Chu Tian was calmly dealing with it. He only used the glass body and did not use his full strength at all. Too strong. Strong enough to make people feel despair. These people were truly monstrous existences. The 3 sides stood in their original positions. If it wasn't for the large hole in the ground and the black flames, everyone would have thought that everything was an illusion. Chu Tian was much stronger than they had imagined. Of course, with Yi Tianlong's strength, he was definitely worthy of being one of the 4 young masters. Yi Tianlang was already this strong, and there was still Luo Xianglong who had not made a move yet. Could Chu Tian really block them? Chapter 196. This series of attacks did not lose to a normal illustrious soul realm expert, but Chu Tian could easily block them without being injured. This meant that he had the qualifications to fight against an illustrious soul realm expert. However, Yi Tianlang had turned a ball of spirit energy into a demon wolf to attack. This demon wolf avatar did not even have 30% of the main body's strength, so it was just a small test. He was far from using his true strength. The 4 young masters were not vegetarians. There were not many people in the younger generation of Central State that could compare to Yi Tianlang. Luo Xianglong impatiently called out, "A trivial void soul realm waste. How much time do you want to waste? Don't be anxious." Yi Tianlang's monstrous eyes flashed with a trace of ruthlessness. Although he did not know what method Chu Tian used to raise his cultivation base to the peak 3rd awakened soul layer, as long as he did not enter the illustrious soul realm, no matter how much his source spirit increased his battle strength, it would not be a threat to him. That was just a warm-up. Now the game officially begins. Chu Tian's source spirit was very strong. Even if he was at the peak of the triple awakened soul realm, it was enough to break through the protective spirit energy of a 4th awakened soul layer cultivator. Not to mention that this person had a soul-contracting weapon and a very sinister sword art, so he could not give him any chances. Using the avatar to cover his attacks was a good choice. "I'll give you 5 minutes," Luo Xianglong softly said. "If you can't take care of him, then I'll personally make a move. 5 minutes is enough." Yi Tianlang turned into a volcano as the sky, filled with demonic flames, erupted from his head, turning into 5 balls of energy that fell down. Dragon-winged demon wolves gradually formed. Meng Yingying quickly said, "A single demon wolf avatar is already very strong, but Yi Tianlang has released 5 demon wolf avatars at once. This is truly shocking." Everyone's eyes popped out in shock. This was 5 times his previous battle strength. Yi Tianlang's main body was also covered in black flames, and his body swelled several times, turning into a giant and fierce demon wolf. 1 main body and 5 doppelgangers appeared. The 6 wolves looked exactly the same. Yun Tianhe explained with a serious expression, "This monster wolf clone is one of the Yef family's strongest techniques. It can be duplicated using a wolf source spirit as a blueprint, and a monster wolf clone formed from spirit energy will have the same abilities as the main body, only the clone will be weaker. The scariest thing is that the main body can switch with any of the clones at any time. It's very difficult to lock onto the main body among so many clones." Meng Yingying said in surprise, "Isn't that an invincible position?" "Not necessarily." It was rare for Chen Bingyu to open her mouth to explain. Her cold voice spread through the broadcast system. The doppelganger requires a large amount of elemental energy to maintain. Furthermore, it cannot be too far away from the main body. If the doppelganger continues to hold on, it will consume its elemental energy, and this technique will break. Yin Tianhe gave a sigh. Even if it's like this, it's easier said than done. The space in the arena was limited, so it was impossible to fight at a distance. There's a huge disparity in cultivation and elemental energy. It's even more impossible to engage in a battle of attrition. Their comments were clearly heard by the crowd. The 2 of them were absolute masters, so their comments had a lot of weight to them. Yi Tianlang was even more terrifying than the rumors. With this kind of strong cultivation technique, he was almost invincible. Could Chu Tian deal with him? The 6 identical dragon-winged, demonic flame wolves spread out like a pack of hungry wolves on a desolate grassland. They surrounded each other, and their ruthless killing intent had long since locked onto each other. Oh, the 6 demon wolves gathered together for a long time before simultaneously spitting out dense black flames. They were like 6 giant spears that shot out from different directions at the same target. Long-range attack. Chu Tian calculated the trajectory and leapt backwards. The moment Chu Tian moved, while he was still in the air, the 6 demon wolves spread their wings and launched an incomparably fierce attack. There was nothing to fear from the clones. Where's the main body? Under Chu Tian's mind's eye, the 6 demon wolves were exactly the same. There was no difference in strength at all. Strange. 6 of them were clones. Then where was the main body? In this split second, there was no time to think. The 6 demon flame spears collided in front of him. A surge of elemental energy was released and turned into a giant fireball. Oh! A mournful and shocking howl resounded from within the fireball. Suddenly, another ferocious and majestic giant wolf rushed out of the exploding flames, pouncing forward at lightning speed. This demon wolf's expression was filled with ridicule as it laughed and said, "Ha ha 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 ha! Are you looking for me? What a good surprise attack!" Chu Tian did not even have time to swing his sword and was instantly hit in the chest. The starlight around his body shattered, and he was slammed from the center of the stage to the edge of the stage. He hit the barrier and was bounced back onto the stage. The surroundings were deathly silent. Everyone's expression was the same. Stunning. It was too stunning. Prince Qianlong's proficiency in using the cultivation technique and the ingenuity of tactics made the audience open their eyes. Yi Tianlang could clearly release 6 clones, but he purposely released 5 first to spit out flames together with the main body. Yi Tianlang was very clear that Chu Tian had a very brilliant mind's eye. This kind of attack could not hit him, so it was completely a diversionary tactic. The 6 demon flames merged to form a new clone. He then used a secret technique to move the main body over and instantly appeared in front of Chu Tian. He did not even give Chu Tian the chance to pull out his sword. Condensing the power of the main body, with lightning speed, he killed him in one strike. Incomparably tyrannical strength. Strange and unpredictable tactics. Yi Tianlang, who had a bad reputation during this period of time, just based on this miraculous attack, it was enough to make people feel deep respect for him. Meng Yingying's voice was trembling. Chu Tian. Chu Tian was knocked down by Yi Tianlang's claw. Just how strong this attack was, Yi Tianlang was very clear on it. The Ye family had studied Chu Tian's defensive cultivation technique. That defensive cultivation technique was called the Starlight Immortal Body, and it was undeniably very tyrannical. It allowed him to fight against people of the same level and could even block attacks from those of a higher level. But any defensive cultivation technique had its limits. The explosive power of this sneak attack was enough to destroy the Starlight Immortal Body. Yi Tianlang thought of slowly torturing Chu Tian, but in the end he did not do this. This was because Chu Tian had repeatedly made Yi Tianlang lose his dignity, so he had to use the cleanest and most direct method to defeat Chu Tian in one fell swoop. It was fine if he died, but if he was crippled, then he would continue to torture him. This was the only way to regain his dignity. He wanted everyone to see that waste was waste. There was an insurmountable gap between them and geniuses. The humiliation of South Sky City had made Yi Tianlang gnash his teeth day and night. Today he had finally taken his revenge. Ha 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 ha! Weren't you very wild? Yi Tianlang stared at Chu Tian, who was lying on the ground, and began to laugh like a madman. You couldn't even block a single move from this young master? A waste like you actually dares to challenge the 2 young masters. Yin Tianhe and Chun Bingyu both stood up. Meng Yingying and Nangong Yun revealed expressions of anger. Meng Qingwu's face turned pale. She also practiced the Starlight Immortal Body, so she was very clear on the defensive power of the Starlight Immortal Body. This attack was too fierce, perhaps Chu Tian would. When everyone thought that Chu Tian wouldn't be able to get up. Pung! Carp jump! Not bad, not bad. Chu Tian simply stood up. You've indeed improved a bit. That attack really tickled me. Yi Tianlang was stunned. Countless eyes almost popped out of their sockets. The crystal-like starlight around Chu Tian fell off, and his skin became transparent. It was like a top-quality diamond, reflecting a beautiful and alluring luster. Diamond body. This was the diamond body. When did Chu Tian cultivate it? Meng Yingying and Meng Qingwu were surprised and filled with anger. This bastard was clearly fine, but he pretended to be lying on the ground for so long. He was deliberately making them worry. This was simply too hateful. They had to ruthlessly teach him a lesson. Chu Tian has stood up. The audience broke out in cheers as everyone stood up. Lin Fan and Lin Xian excitedly roared out. What else could make them more excited than this? Prince Tianlong's full-strength attack had been blocked by Chu Tian's body, but he wasn't injured at all. Yi Tianlang unwillingly roared out. How could you be fine? Who would have thought that Chu Tian's starlight immortal body had always been in the small success glass body realm, but now it had already been cultivated to the diamond body realm. Chu Tian's cultivation base had also increased by a large amount, so his defense could not be compared to before. You really think you can fool me with that little trick? Chu Tian patted the dust off his body. I just wanted to see you make a fool of yourself, so I'll let you have one move. Damn, you've also cultivated your defensive cultivation technique to the perfection realm? But no matter how hard the turtle shell is, what's the use? I'll hit it until it breaks. Chu Tian raised his burning sword. Let's give it a try. 6 wolves as one. The 6 clones no longer had any meaning. The main body would find it hard to break his defense. So how could the clones break it? It would be better to gather all the spirit energy together. With the monster wolf transformation cultivation technique, he might be able to fight. After absorbing the clones, the giant body quickly shrunk by several times, finally returning to the size of a normal person. He had turned into a half-man, half-wolf monster, but his aura had increased by several times. Wolf God Rush. The Wolfman Yi Tianlong's speed was even faster and his strength was even stronger, increasing by 3 layers. His fists shook the air with crackling sounds. Chu Tian did not dodge at all. This is perfect to test the power of the starlight body. Yi Tianlong's attack slammed into Chu Tian's body, instantly creating a strong pressure that shattered the ground around him. Chu Tian was pushed back several steps by the strong impact, and the diamond body dimmed by quite a bit, but it did not completely disappear. Yi Tianlang was sent flying back. If it wasn't for his wolfman body being strengthened, he would have been injured by now. Your strength is only SOSO. Chu Tian's netherworld sword was infused with the power of his source spirit. The cold blade continued to tremble, and a blue flame suddenly covered the blade. Netherworld flickering flame. A burning sword glow flew out. Yi Tianlang quickly dodged it, but his shoulder was slashed. Blood flowed down his clothes, and a netherworld flame entered his meridians, making him lose strength in his arm. The battle is becoming more and more intense. This time, Chu Tian has turned the tables. Nangong Yun explained into the microphone. Right now, Yi Tianlang is at a disadvantage. Meng Yingying followed up. From beginning to end, Yi Tianlang has been attacking. What is Chu Tian doing? Take out your sword. It's time to counterattack. The strong and the weak exchanged. The situation changed, and no one could react to it. Chapter 197. What was Chu Tian's cultivation base? Just a triple awakened soul. Even if he used the origin increasing pill to increase his cultivation base, he would only be at the peak of triple awakened soul. 1 void soul, 1 illustrious soul. 1 early awakened soul, 1 mid-awakened soul. Although it was only a single step, it was like the difference between clouds and mud. No one would have thought that Chu Tian would be this strong. Yi Tianlang couldn't even injure him. Meng Qingwu's tall body slightly trembled. Her white robe was like snow, her hair was like a waterfall, and her eyes were filled with a look of disbelief. This was Chu Tian's strength? Although she had guessed that his strength would increase by a lot after leaving the trial tower, she never thought he would be this strong. The battle was becoming more and more intense. Yi Tianlang used all of his skills, displaying all of the Ye family's secret techniques. Chu Tian did not completely defend. Rather, he took the initiative to attack. Once the netherworld flame sword was displayed, His figure became like a ghost as he floated around the stage. Every time he appeared, there would be a burning sword glow flying through the air. Bombardment after bombardment. Gravel flew everywhere. Although victory and defeat could not be decided, it was clear that Chu Tian was suppressing Yi Tianlang. Meng Yingying stood up, and her delicate cheeks flushed with excitement. Her blood was already boiling as she watched, and she shouted into the microphone. Now Chu Tian is using the Netherworld Flame Sword art, completely suppressing all of Yi Tianlong's secret techniques. You didn't hear wrong. A direct counter, completely suppressing, using speed to fight the slow, using strength to fight the weak. The stray dog young master has thought of all kinds of methods to break through, but they have all been broken by Chu Tian, so the situation is becoming worse and worse. Nan Gongyan also excitedly shouted, "If this continues in less than 50 moves, Chu Tian will definitely win." In a corner, Feng Kai-dai was wearing a large cloak as she silently watched the stage. This is unbelievable. How can he do this? Based on my research on Chu Tian, every time he acts recklessly, it's all part of his plan. He won't do something he's not confident in. Shun Fenghe was also wearing a large cloak, so the people around him could not recognize him at all. A certain girl begged me to save her. Who should I save now? Have you taken a fancy to this kid? Feng Kai-dai blushed. Don't talk nonsense. We're just friends. Haha. Such an intense reaction. Are they really just friends? We are friends. Shen Fenghe and Feng Yintian smiled, but did not say anything. Their eyes were calm and indifferent as they stared at the arena. A strange flame was ignited in the depths of their pupils. He could no longer see through this young man. Luo Xianglong slightly knit his brows. He really was someone who could make Chu Xinghe suffer. In the future, this kid would definitely not lose to Chu Xinghe. In fact, he might even surpass Chu Xinghe. He absolutely could not be allowed to continue growing stronger. Today, he had to be killed here. Yi Tianlang couldn't hold on any longer. He had to make his move. Luo Xianglong gave a low roar and suddenly released his strength. His source spirit was instantly released. Lion and tiger dual phase. Yuan power was infused into the dark golden arm guards on both hands, and they immediately let out a majestic roar of a lion and tiger. The sound was filled with explosive power, and it shook the eardrums of everyone present. Some ordinary people with weaker physiques even fainted on the spot. Wild beast jump. Luo Xianglong moved to the side and swung his right arm, slamming his fist into the ground. The golden bracers released a terrifying strength and charged forward at a speed visible to the naked eye. The golden energy created a deep ditch in the ground as it charged at Chu Tian's feet. When Chu Tian realized this and wanted to dodge, it was already too late. The overbearing golden energy broke through the ground and was released like a volcano erupting. It turned into a giant golden lion that slammed into the blade, releasing an ear-piercing sound. Chu Tian could clearly feel the Netherworld sword release a cry, but it was not able to weaken the might of this attack. Finally, it landed on his body, and Chu Tian was sent flying several meters into the air. Such a terrifying, explosive strength. Such a terrifying, destructive might. This fist was enough to kill any fourth awakened soul layer cultivator. Before Chu Tian could fall, Yi Tianlang appeared in the air with a so sound. His foot slammed down like he was kicking a sandbag, causing Chu Tian to fall down like a meteor. Despicable. Meng Yingying angrily slammed the table. Luo Xianglong did not keep his promise and launched a sneak attack at Chu Tian at the critical moment. This kind of despicable method, it really is the actions of a villain. Truly one of the four young masters. Indeed, 2 against 1 was not fair at all. Not to mention that Luo Xianglong had promised to make a move in 5 minutes. Chu Tian and Yi Tianlang had fought for 3-4 minutes at most, but they were still in a deadlock. Although Chu Tian had the upper hand, he could not end the battle for now. Luo Xianglong had taken advantage of the moment Chu Tian was unprepared to launch a sneak attack. He didn't care about that. Luo Lianqing had said that winning was secondary. The most important thing was to kill Chu Tian. As for cursing, why would an expert fear criticism from the public? In this world, the winner was the king, the loser was the king. Using a sneak attack to kill Chu Tian, at most he would be cursed behind his back. If Chu Tian continued to grow, he would become another Chu Xinghe. Comparing the two, what did a few curses count for? Angry Beast Prairie Fire. Luo Xianglong roared into the sky, and golden light shot out from his arms. It was like he was holding a sun as he wildly punched the ground. Each fist turned into a wave of energy that broke through the ground. Chu Tian did not even have a place to stand. He was hit by several attacks and was sent flying into the air again. Yi Tianlang would not let go of this chance. He turned into several afterimages and sent out a series of dazzling high-speed attacks. Demon Wolf's Prey. Luo Xianglong's attacks were strong, and Yi Tianlong's speed was very fast. With the two of them working together, even Chu Tian was at a disadvantage. It was already a great honor for a Central State young genius to exchange blows with one of the four young masters. For Chu Tian to fight 1 against 2, how could this be easy? After Chu Tian was attacked by Luo Xianglong several times, his diamond body began to crack. Luo Xianglong's attacks were too fierce, and his attacks were too fast, surpassing the recovery speed of Chu Tian's starlight immortal body. If this continued, Chu Tian would not be able to hold on. He would start with Luo Xianglong first. Chu Tian flipped back in the air and dodged a wave of energy. He instantly entered the netherworld realm and turned into a burning sword glow as he charged at Luo Xianglong. Dang! The sword glow slammed into the bracer, and sparks flew. A strong force came from the bracer, and Chu Tian was sent flying several meters. He staggered back several steps and was a bit unsteady as the blade continued to vibrate. This bracer was not weaker than the netherworld sword. Luo Xianglong's spirit energy was much more overbearing than Yi Tianlong's. With the two of them working together and clashing head-on, Chu Tian would not be able to gain an advantage. Luo Xianglong clenched his fist, and the golden bracer glowed once again. This is the 9 lion and tiger bracer passed down in my family. Wearing it will increase the strength of 9 lions and tigers. The Luo family's cultivation technique is known for being overbearing. Do you think you can injure me in close combat? If you cripple your own cultivation, I'll spare your life. Yi Tianlang, in his wolf form, chased behind him. Although he had 3 4-sword wounds on him, he still had his battle strength intact. A pincer attack? He was in danger again. Chu Tian could feel that the medicinal power of the pill in his body seemed to be declining. If it wasn't for the pill replenishing his spirit energy, Chu Tian would have used up most of his spirit energy. But the battle was too intense, and the pill was hard to maintain. These two were both true 4th awakened soul layer cultivators. In terms of spirit energy, Chu Tian was at a disadvantage. Everyone was worried for Chu Tian. What should he do? Ha 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 ha. The youth's simple blue robe was already in tatters as it fluttered in the wind. Although he was in a sorry state, there was still a heroic aura around him. His eyes were like stars as they shined brightly. Starlight surrounded his body, and a wild aura soared into the sky. He was like a hero looking down on the world, making it hard for people to look at him. Then come at me together. Father will take care of you in one go, saving me the trouble of dealing with you one by one. Arrogant and overbearing, wild aura, and scrupulous. Lin Fan and Lin Xian's minds went blank. Even if the other side was Yi Tianlang and Luo Xianglong, these peak young geniuses of Central State, he was still calm, and his expression did not change. This was Chu Tian, the one and only Chu Tian. The one and only Chu Tian they worshipped the most. The Central State City audience was completely shocked. Among the super geniuses of Central State, there were only 2 people who could face these 2 young masters without a change in expression. One was the heavenly sword young master, Chu Xinghe. The other was Chu Tian. Chu Tian was younger than Chu Xinghe, His talent was more outstanding than Chu Xinghe, and his spirit surpassed the past Chu Xinghe. Once this person was sharpened over time, he would soar into the sky and become a large character in the southern summer country. I'll break through his defenses. Luo Xianglong had a terrifying destructive might that normal people could not match. After wearing the Luo family's 9 lion tiger bracers, he had the power of 9 lions and tigers, so he was confident he could break through Chu Tian's defenses. Once his defenses are broken, you can kill him. Yi Tianlong's destructive might was not as strong as Luo Xianglong's, but the Ye family's cultivation technique was strange and hard to predict, and they relied on speed to win. As long as Chu Tian's defenses were broken, Yi Tianlang was confident he could kill him in one fell swoop. All right, the starlight on Chu Tian's body slowly recovered and slowly seeped into his body, making his skin glow like a diamond. The long sword in his hand glowed with a bright flame. Chu Tian was not a fool. Would he just stand there and let you hit him? He had successfully ambushed him once. Would he let you do it a second time? He would not give you a chance. Chu Tian directly attacked. Monster Wolf Transformation. Yi Tianlang roared into the sky. In his wolf form, his body was suddenly covered in a layer of blood-red light. Blood Wolf. The Ye family members trembled. He used this move. This was the Ye family's forbidden technique. By burning one's essence blood, one could increase one's destructive power and speed, increasing one's battle strength by several levels. However, the longer one used it, the more serious the damage it would cause to the body. Luo Xianglong also wanted to end this battle as soon as possible, so he also let out a deep roar as if he was using some kind of secret technique. His originally bulging muscles instantly inflated as they expanded by a large amount. His 2 tiger claws flashed, and the surging power of the tiger and lion seemed like it was about to break through the wall. Was it time to decide the winner? Chu Tian brandished his sword and attacked Yi Tianlang first. Die! Yi Tianlang's legs stomped on the ground, and he turned into a blood-red glow, charging at Chu Tian. His fingernails grew to a foot long. Demon Wolf, Soul Morning Claw. The Netherworld Sword's flames became stronger and stronger. Chu Tian's figure disappeared in a flash, and a giant burning sword glow appeared, cutting through the sky. Netherworld Raging Flame Slash. Yi Tianlong's wolf eyes saw Chu Tian's figure, and the terrifying claw glow fell onto Chu Tian's body. Tear. Chu Tian's clothes were instantly torn to pieces. A strength that was enough to tear steel like paper slammed into Chu Tian's chest, creating a metallic sound. It was like a giant bell had been struck. The sound was like the sound of an ancient temple bell. It was clear and melodious, making people think. There were a few cracks on the diamond body. Yi Tianlong's power had seeped in and created several long wounds, but it was far from being fatal. A wave of power was reflected back. His 10 fingers had all been broken. That terrifying burning sword glow had already arrived. The sword slashed onto Yi Tianlong's body, instantly tearing apart Yi Tianlong's protective spirit energy. The surging flames swallowed Yi Tianlong's entire body. Yi Tianlang gave a pitiful cry as he was sent flying to the edge of the stage. This sword was enough to cripple him. Luo Xianglong seized this chance. Chu Tian's raging flame slash needed time to charge up, so once it was released, it could not be used again. This was a good chance to defeat him in one fell swoop. Lion Tiger Dragon Transformation. Luo Xianglong flew into the sky, and his entire body turned into a flood dragon. He shook all 4 directions, stirring up the wind and clouds. A wild aura filled with disdain as his angry roar filled the world. Little brat, Chu Tian, your time of death has come. Luo Xianglong had already used his killing move. He really could not think of a way for Chu Tian to block this move. Luo Xianglong was already very strong, and adding in the 9 lion and tiger bracers' power to block the Netherworld Sword. Even with Chu Tian's defense, he would not be able to fight after receiving this attack. This was a life and death moment. Everyone held their breaths. Would Chu Tian die? Chu Tian revealed a taunting smile at Luo Xianglong, and he suddenly threw out a bead. This bead contained a large amount of blue and white flames that were instantly ignited. They all sprayed out and surrounded Chu Tian. It was the flame-avoiding bead. It was the netherworld flame. While Chu Tian was fighting, he had used the flame-avoiding bead to release the flames. So the flame-avoiding bead had accumulated a large amount of netherworld flame energy. The netherworld sword that was like 10,000-year-old ice moved, and the flames that filled the sky gathered onto the blade. A jet-black demon god's sword source spirit appeared behind him, and the aura of a demon god from the ancient era filled the world. Netherworld raging flame slash. A dazzling burning sword glow collided with the flood dragon. The sword glow directly cut the flood dragon in half from head to tail. Chu Tian was hit by this powerful attack, and the starlight protecting his body was shattered. Blood leaked from the corner of his mouth. Whoever could not hold on first would be defeated. It was clear that Chu Tian's sword art was a level stronger. The flood dragon was cut from head to tail, and Luo Xianglong's spirit energy was shattered. Finally, the sword slashed down on Luo Xianglong's body. Luo Xianglong fell to the ground. A pair of bloody arms had been cut off. In the sky above the Central State Arena, there was a glow of spirit energy, starlight, and specks of netherworld flames that exploded like fireworks, falling down like rain. It was like a tragic victory song. Chu Tian fell back onto the stage like a snowflake. He slowly sheathed his sword and turned around to leave the stage. As for Luo Xianglong and Yi Tianlang, were they dead? He was too lazy to look at them. Was life or death important? It was not important, it was all the same. In this life, they would not have the qualifications to fight against Chu Tian. Chapter 198. What the hell was going on? A moment ago, it was a bitter battle, and it should have been a bitter fight, but who would have thought that the battle would end in an instant? The entire process was so fast that no one had time to react. The entire audience fell into a deathly silence. At this moment, the Central State Square was already filled with people. The densely packed citizens were all gathered in front of the broadcast tower, anxiously waiting for the result. Whether it was the customers or the prostitutes, they all put on their clothes and crowded in the hall. They all wanted to witness this historic moment together. The mercenaries in the tavern stopped drinking. There was no longer the usual noise, only a deathly silence. Even the sound of breathing could be heard. Everyone clenched their fists and pricked up their ears as they waited. What was the situation like? Would Chu Tian be killed? Why did the broadcast stop? When everyone was filled with anxiety, a loud shout came from the loudspeaker. 2 swords. Nangong Yun shouted through the broadcast to the entire city. 2 swords. Chu Tian only used 2 swords. He only used 2 swords to defeat Yi Tianlang and Luo Xianglong. This is an overwhelming victory. The duel is over. He is the final victor. Everyone felt like they had woken up from a dream. From the arena to the Central State Square, to the tavern, to the brothel, to the streets, everyone was cheering. Each of them were shocked from the bottom of their hearts, and their blood was boiling. Victory! Chu Tian had won. This was a victory that would change the structure of Central State. Chu Tian had defeated 2 of the 4 young masters. Moreover, in a situation where he was able to jump ranks, Chu Tian's glory in Central State was unparalleled. This new power would quickly expand, possessing the confidence and potential to challenge the aristocratic powers. A new superstar would rise, and Chu Tian's name would spread throughout Central State, even affecting the other states. He would become a new pride of the Central State people. Yi Wudao and Luo Lianqing's faces were ashen. Miserable, miserable, miserable. They were defeated so miserably. Was Chu Tian really possessed by a deity? Even at this stage, he still couldn't kill him. The members of the Chu, Luo, and Yi families all had faces of fear. The 4 young masters that they were so proud of had lost to Chu Tian at least once. Chu Tian would step on the 4 young masters' reputation and raise it to a whole new height, a height never seen before. Chu Tian, don't even think about leaving. Stop right there. A terrifying voice reverberated in the air above the arena. Nangong Yun hurriedly shouted into the loudspeaker. Another change has occurred. The Chu family, the Luo family, the Ye family, and the City Lord Mansion, they had surrounded Chu Tian. Don't tell me they still want to make things difficult for Chu Tian, even though he won the duel fair and square? Dozens of figures shot out from the surrounding stands. Among them were experts from the Chu, Luo, and Yi families, as well as the city lord, Feng Yunlong. Everyone worked together to block Chu Tian's path. Despicable. Chu Tian has won. Your way of doing things has shamed Central State. Everyone began to angrily curse at them. Chu Tian stopped because Chu Tian could feel a terrifying aura locking onto him. It was at least at the 5th awakened soul layer, which was a bit higher than the 4 young masters. If he made any movements, he would suffer a thunderous attack. What's wrong? Chu Tian guessed that the 3 great families would not let this go, but he still had no fear on his face. In a voice that was neither servile nor overbearing, he said, "You don't even want your last bit of dignity? How could Yun Tianhe and Chun Bingyu sit and watch these people act arrogantly?" The 2 of them jumped down from the sky and landed in front of the arena, facing off against these people. The sky above the arena was instantly filled with thunderclouds, and snowflakes floated in the air. The experts' auras collided, making it hard for people to resist. The auras of countless experts collided, and the intensity of the conflict quickly increased. This matter has nothing to do with the 4 great families. Feng Yunlong did not want to fight with Yun Tianhe or Chun Bingyu, so he coldly stared at Chu Tian and said, "Chu Tian has opened the Trial Tower's hidden treasure. This matter has already been known by Imperial City. Imperial City has sent a special envoy to understand the situation. Whoever dares to stop the special envoy is going against the will of Imperial City. Yun Tianhe, do you want to try? Imperial City?" Shen Fengho knit his brows in the crowd. Feng Kaidai was shocked. These damn fellows, they actually dragged the Imperial City's 3 great families into this. What should we do now? Shen Fengho was one of the Southern Summer 8 Marquises. Although he had an extraordinary influence, compared to the large characters of the 3 great families, there was still a large gap. After all, among the Southern Summer 8 Marquises, there were several that came from the 3 great families. Shen Fengho said in a low voice, "Let's take a look at the situation first." If it wasn't a last resort, Shen Fengho would have no choice but to avoid it. If he had a direct conflict with the 3 great families, it would definitely have a bad influence. Especially for someone with a high status like Shen Fengho, his identity was too sensitive. Yun Tianhe disdained Feng Yunlong's words. It has only been 3 days since the Central State Tower's trial ended. How could Imperial City receive this news? Do you think this old man has gone senile? Imperial City was located far away from here. How could they send a message in 3 days? Not to mention sending a special envoy. Old Master Yun, it's been many years. I trust you've been well. At this time, a man wearing a cloak walked out. This person looked to be around 40 years old, with a thin and fair complexion. His eyes were not big, but they shined. What a coincidence, this one has just arrived in Central State. Yun Tianhe's expression slightly changed. Shangguan Ming. The kingdom's 3 great families, the Dongfang family, the Shangguan family, and the Nangong family. The influence of these 3 families in southern Xia was not small. After all, they had existed since before the country was founded. The background of the 3 great families was not something other families could compare to. For example, Nangong Yun's father, Nangong Yi. Although he was born in a branch of the Nangong family, he was still a member of the Nangong family. Whether it was his age or talent, he was still unable to become a family elder, because he was not strong enough. For the 3 great families, including the Nangong family, if they wanted to become an elder, they had to reach the 4th awakened soul layer and reach the illustrious soul realm. In the families of Central State City, as long as one was an awakened soul expert, they would immediately become an elder. If one reached the fourth awakened soul layer, they would become a senior elder of the family and would begin to control some core power. In the three great families of the kingdom, they had only just stepped into the upper echelons of the family. This was the difference in strength. Shangwan Ming's influence in the Shangwan family was only average, but he was at the fifth awakened soul layer. This kind of strength could not compare to the central state four great families' patriarchs. But with his status as a direct descendant of the Shangwan family, it was enough for him to stand on equal footing with the four great families' patriarchs. Shangwan Ming cupped his hands to Yun Tianhe and said in a polite voice, "Old Yun is very knowledgeable, and the Shangwan family respects you. But this matter involves the kingdom's interests, so I advise old Yun not to interfere." Yun Tianhe knit his brows and said, "The Central State Tower is a place for young people to gain experience, and everything inside belongs to those who gain experience. With the Shangwan family doing this, it will definitely cause the people to become angry. I'm afraid the Shangwan family's reputation will be damaged." Yun Tianhe did not believe it at all. It was just a trivial Central State Tower. How could the kingdom spy on it? This was most likely a member of the Shangwan family who had been provoked by someone else to become greedy. It could even be Shangwan Ming's own selfish desires. Old Yun's words are wrong. Shangwan Ming generously said, "The Central State Tower is the kingdom's property that has been given to the citizens of Central State. If it was a normal thing, it would be fine, but this hidden treasure is not normal. You should know that the northern front against the spirit beasts is becoming more and more tense, so everyone wants to contribute to the kingdom." This argument was a bit too far-fetched. "Old Yun, I advise you not to meddle in other people's business." Mayor Feng Yunlong had a cold smile on his face, as if he already had Chu Tian in his grasp. Sir Shangwan is the imperial city's special envoy, so he has the right to act first and report later. You, me, and even the four great families do not have the right to interfere. Perhaps Shangwan Ming had come to Central State to do other things, but it was definitely not for the Central State Tower. Shangwan Ming looked at Chu Tian with a greedy expression. "I don't want to repeat myself. Spit out everything you have, otherwise don't blame this special envoy for being merciless. You don't even know what the Central State Tower's hidden treasure is, and you're talking about contributing to the kingdom." Chu Tian said without any fear. "Don't you think this excuse is very laughable?" Shangwan Ming never thought that Chu Tian would give in so easily. "Then I can only bring you back to Imperial City and properly interrogate you." Central State Tower's hidden treasure? Shangwan Ming did not even know what it was. But in a place like Central State, what kind of good things could there be? On the other hand, Chu Tian was a walking dictionary. From what Mayor Feng Yunlong had said, Chu Tian had a lot of value. If he could cripple him and keep him by his side, wouldn't he be able to make billions? Chu Tian slightly narrowed his eyes. "What if I refuse?" Shangwan Ming broke out in laughter. "Then you still need to have the ability." Chu Tian said with a smile. "Does Special Envoy Shangwan think you can eat this little citizen?" Feng Yunlong and the Chu, Luo, and Yi families were filled with joy. Since Chu Tian wanted to fight with the Shangwan family, why would they need to make a move? In front of this giant, Chu Tian did not even have the slightest chance to resist. "How about we make a bet?" Chu Tian leisurely said. "If you can beat me, then I'll go with you." Yin Tianhe was shocked. Shangwan Ming was in the fifth awakened soul layer. This was not something a young man like Yi Tianlang or Luo Xianglong could compare to. Chu Tian emphasized Principal Yun, Vice Principal Chun, the three great families, and the mayor won't make a move. If Special Envoy Shangwan can block a few of my subordinates, then I'll surrender. Ha 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 ha. Shangwan Ming laughed into the sky. A frog at the bottom of a well. All right, I'll let you see the Shangwan family strength. Chu Tian gently waved his hand. An ancient bell appeared in his hand, and he gently shook it a few times. In an instant, more than 10 black-clothed men flew out from below the stage, densely packed together and landed around Chu Tian. Shangguan Ming was a bit stunned. Several dozen subordinates? Chu Tian was too careless. With Shangguan Ming's strength at the fifth awakened soul layer, wouldn't it be as easy as turning his hand to capture Chu Tian under the protection of these black-clothed people? Shangguan Ming found this a bit hard to believe. Are you serious? If I, Chu Tian, say I can do it. Chu Tian asked back. If your excellency can't do it, then what? Impossible. If you can't do it, then I won't make it hard for Sir Envoy. You can just take off your clothes and scram out of Central State. Chu Tian did not care that much. Since he was going to cause a stir in Central State, then he would make it even bigger. He wanted everyone to know that Miracle Commerce was not a soft persimmon. Even if it was the three great families, he was not afraid. Chapter 199. Everyone moved aside, leaving only Chu Tian and Shangguan Ming facing each other. Of course, there were also the 18 silent black-clothed men. Everyone couldn't help worrying for Chu Tian. These 18 guards look ordinary. How could they block the Shangguan family's experts? Central State City finally has a genius. Could he be harmed by the Shangguan family like this? Everyone was filled with indignation. Chu Tian was a rare talent that only appeared once in 100 years, and Miracle Commerce was a company that people looked forward to in Central State City. If it was destroyed because of the Shangguan family's power, this would be a huge loss to Central State City. Shang Guanming suddenly clasped his hands together, and a vigorous force surged out. A surge of surging elemental energy spread out like a wave, and a layer of invisible airflow appeared around him, pushing the dust all the way to the edge of the arena. Suddenly, a giant scarlet-red pen soared into the sky. Meng Yingying said in a surprised voice, "Pen? The Shangguan family's pen, source spirit." Yun Tianhe returned to the main stage and said with a serious expression, "The Shangguan family's life and death pen, cultivation technique, is said to be able to determine life and death. It is very hard to deal with." Yun Tianhe's explanation was also heard by the others. There was actually a cultivator with a pen as their source spirit. The Shangguan family was truly special, but the Shangguan family was one of the kingdom's three great clans. This was enough to show how strong the Shangguan family was. A giant pen appeared from Shangguan Ming's sleeve. This pen was 3 feet long, and it was like a short spear. It released a cold glow, and after being infused with the power of the fire-attributed source spirit, it became even more powerful. "I've spared your life because you have some talent. It would be a pity if you died now." Shangguan Ming pointed his pen spear at Chu Tian. "With your skills, you can only show off your might in Central State. The Shangguan family's strength is not something an ant like you can fight against. I'll give you one last chance. Surrender or be destroyed." "I am indeed showing off my might in Central State, but how can you be any better than me? A member of the Shangguan family, a special envoy from the kingdom, you are still showing off your might in Central State. You're already 40-50 years old, but you're still as childish as a child. How dare you?" A trace of anger flashed in Shangguan Ming's eyes. "Although I have spared your life, I still want to keep you by my side as a dog. A dog's mouth can't stop barking, so I'll help you get rid of your stinky mouth. I won't draw my sword, I won't resist, I'll just stand here." Chu Tian crossed his arms in front of his chest. "If you can really do it, then come at me. Crazy, crazy, crazy. One arrogant guy." People did not understand where Chu Tian got his confidence from. Shangguan Ming, a 5th awakened soul layer expert, was actually treated like grass by him. "All right, good. It's been a long time since someone dared to offend the Shangguan clan like this. Your mouth is far from enough to atone for your crime. I'll cripple both your hands and feet." Shangguan Ming angrily raised his iron pen and drew a few strange symbols. "Fire spell." This symbol shot towards Chu Tian and exploded violently. The terrifying flames directly blasted a large hole in the arena. Yun Tianhe explained, "This is the ability of the Shangguan family's brush source spirit. They can use everything as a carrier for the talisman array." The smoke slowly dissipated. Among the 18 silent black-clothed people, Chu Tian's posture did not change at all, and he did not receive any injuries at all. Shangwan Ming's face fell. This was impossible. This attack had used 50 to 60% of his strength. If Shangwan Ming used 50 to 60% of his strength, he could even easily kill Luo Xianglong and Yi Tianlang. Even if Chu Tian was heaven-defying, how could he not be injured? Chu Tian gave a single word of evaluation: weak. Everyone blushed with shame. This Chu Tian did not give him any face at all. I admit that I've underestimated you. Shangwan Ming's face turned ugly, and he began to become angry. But in front of me, you're just a shrimp. You're like a chicken that can't even take a single hit. I'll let you see the Shangwan family's true secret technique. No matter what, he was still an elder of the Shangwan family. This trivial triple awakened soul fellow dared to look down on him. This kind of matter could not be tolerated no matter what. The giant pin flew into the air. Two fiery red beams of energy shot out like whips. They were like two fire dragons that charged forward, causing the ground to crack wherever they went. Chu Tian's bell gently rang. The 18 black-clothed people seemed to teleport as they lined up in front of Chu Tian. It was like they had practiced this thousands of times as they sent out a palm at the same time. Hong! A wave of energy collided with the two energy whips. Almost in an instant, the two energy whips were completely shattered. The energy wave released by the 18 black-clothed people still had quite a bit of energy left as it surged forward. Shangwan Ming quickly raised his pen to block it, but he was sent flying several feet away. The blood in his body surged, and he felt as if he could not endure it. Damn! These black-clothed people were all at least in the fourth awakened soul layer. Not only was Shangwan Ming shocked, even Yin Tianhe, Chen Bingyu, Feng Yunlong, and even Meng Qingwu were shocked. What was going on? Meng Qingwu covered her mouth. Her beautiful face was filled with a look of shock. These 18 corpses had been her inseparable guards for over a month. When Chu Tian came back from Central State Tower, he had suddenly asked for these 18 corpses, but it had only been a few days. In the end, these 18 early awakened Soline corpses had all reached the intermediate awakened soul realm. This was not a small leap. This was simply a qualitative increase. Miracle Commerce could have 18 illustrious soul realm guards, who in Central State City could threaten Chu Tian. No wonder Chu Tian was filled with confidence. Even if Shangwan Ming was at the 5th awakened soul layer, fighting 18 4th awakened soul layer experts at the same time would not be an easy matter. Shangwan Ming cursed Mayor Feng Yunlong's ancestors in his heart. This fellow did not tell him that Chu Tian had this kind of influence by his side. If these 18 people went to the 3 great clans, they would all be elders. They were actually willing to be guards for Miracle Commerce. This was simply unbelievable. If he knew this earlier, Shangwan Ming would have thought it over. Now he was riding a tiger. He could not retreat just because he wanted to. After saying so much nonsense, it seems like you're only good at talking. No wonder you could become the special envoy. If words could kill, I would have died 8 or 10 times over. Don't be so arrogant, you nameless soldier. Shangwan Ming's attitude had completely changed. If he had treated this as a game from the beginning, now he would treat this battle as a fierce battle. You think you can beat me with just these few? Shangwan Ming completely exploded as he brandished his spear. Giant runes shot out like raindrops, densely surrounding Chu Tian's body. Insignificant tricks. Chu Tian could see through Shangwan Ming's intentions with a single glance. He wanted to use a powerful array to suppress Chu Tian and his guards. It would have been fine if it was a normal person. How could Chu Tian not find a way to break it? This kind of array technique, in his eyes, wasn't it just showing off in front of an expert? The 18 corpses instantly shot out. After Chu Tian's divine sense increased, he could control the corpses even more smoothly. It was just like controlling his own clones. Array? Crush it. The 18 corpses did not give him any chance. Instantly, surrounding Shangwan Ming. Shangwan Ming's heart was secretly shocked. If it was just 18 4th awakened soul layer experts, it would have been fine. But these 18 not only had high cultivation bases, their coordination was flawless. It was like they were one person. No, even if he won like this, it would be a bitter battle. First, he would ignore these strange black, clothed experts and directly attack Chu Tian. Scram! Shangguan Ming forcefully stabbed out with his spear, and a red flame was released. He was prepared to force back one of the black-clothed people, but who would have thought that the black-clothed people would not fear him at all? They actually worked together, and Shangguan Ming's strength was blocked. One of the black-clothed people's clothes was also torn apart. See, when everyone saw the appearance of the black-clothed person, they all sucked in a cold breath. This was not a living person at all. This black-clothed person had no expression on his face, his eyes were unfocused, and there was no aura. He was a completely dead person. Could be an corpse? This corpse was very different from normal corpses. The corpse's strength was known by everyone. Different corpses had different energy concentrations, and the mycelium on their bodies had different colors, so it could be used to determine their strength. This corpse was smooth and black, even reflecting a metallic luster. The muscles on its body seemed like they were made of iron, releasing a mysterious and deep aura. Yun Tianhe finally noticed the bell in Chu Tian's hand. Is this the soul-contracting soul-controlling bell recorded in the ancient books? But why are the corpses he controls so strange? Of course, Yun Tianhe did not know. The corpse refining techniques of the ancient sects in the Corpse Valley were too low level. Chu Tian did not know about this, but after studying the 2 fragmented memories left behind by the ancient gods, he knew a bit about it. Since he had obtained the materials, he used the spiritual god's blood to do an experiment. The 18 corpses were refined by Chu Tian once again. Now, they had been reborn. Not only did they have a stronger defense and attack, but because of the spiritual god's blood, they already had a trace of divinity. They could cultivate and grow, becoming stronger and stronger. Arrange the array. The 18 corpses arranged the array. That's right, Chu Tian was using the same trick. The method he used to deal with Yi Tianlang was being used again, directly dealing with Shangguan Ming. The difference in strength between the 18 corpses and Yi Tianlang was much larger than now, but even so, they could still beat Yi Tianlang. What did Shangguan Ming count for? The 18 corpses were a perfect combination, using all kinds of sinister moves. Not to mention attacking Chu Tian, Shangguan Ming couldn't even break through the encirclement of the 18 corpses or even protect himself. Pooh! Shangguan Ming received a palm for the corpses. He was sent flying to the edge of the stage. He did not even have time to stand up before the 18 corpses surrounded him at the same time. Those cold and emotionless green eyes filled Shangguan Ming with a deep fear. Enough! Shangguan Ming shouted in a distressed manner. I won't force you. Quickly pull them away from me. Your Excellency Shangguan really is forgetful. Chu Tian was as cold as ice as he coldly said, You want to steal my harvest and even want to cripple me and imprison me. How vicious are your intentions? Now that you can't beat me, you want to just leave? If Father was this easy to talk to, then wouldn't any cat or dog dare provoke me in the future? Shangguan Ming's brows knit together. What do you want to do? I am a member of the Shangguan family. I am the kingdom's special envoy. Ka! The corpse kicked out. His kneecap was crushed. Shangguan Ming gave a pitiful cry. What bullshit, Shangguan family. Father has never been afraid of anyone. In front of the entire central state city, Chu Tian acted wildly and unscrupulously. Father will first cripple your cultivation, so that some people can open their eyes and see clearly that as long as they offend me, whether it is in the past, present, or future, this will be their fate. Shangguan Ming shouted out in fear, You dare? Chu Tian's eyes released a cold glow. You think I don't dare? No, no. Shangguan Ming cried out in fear, Spare me. I beg you, spare me. This was a member of the Shangguan family? He was actually lying on the ground begging for mercy from Chu Tian. In this world where strength was respected, once his cultivation was crippled, it would be better to just kill him. Mayor Feng Yunlong had an ugly expression. This matter was completely instigated by him. The Shangwan family did not know about it all. Once Shangwan Ming was crippled in Central State City, this matter would become big. This was, after all, a special envoy. It was Feng Yunlong who deliberately stirred him up. If the Shangwan family investigated, it was impossible for them not to find him. At that time, even the mayor would not be able to escape. In front of everyone, Chu Tian had broken Shangwan Ming's arm. He was prepared to shatter Shangwan Ming's spirit energy and turn him into a cripple. Chu Tian, stop. Shun Fengho floated down from the sky. He has already received his punishment. Give me some face and let this matter go. With Shun Fengho's status and identity, if the Shangwan family pursued this matter, he could still mediate it. But if Chu Tian crippled Shangwan Ming, then there was no turning back. Chu Tian hadn't even dealt with the Central State families yet, but he had already become enemies with the three great families of the kingdom. This was too irrational. Since Shun Fengho has come forward, I'll give the Marquis some face. Shangwan Ming revealed a look of joy. But as long as his cultivation isn't crippled, he still needs to pay a price. Shangwan Ming revealed a look of panic. He couldn't see through this madman. Who would have thought that Chu Tian would raise his foot and step between Shangwan Ming's legs? Shangwan Ming gave a pitiful cry and fainted on the spot. His four limbs were completely broken and could be healed with elixirs, but his life root. It was hard to say. For the rest of his life, Shangwan Ming would regret his actions today. Chu Tian waved his hand, strip him, and throw him outside. The Ying corpses quickly took off Shangwan Ming's clothes, leaving behind only a pair of shorts. All the things he had on him had been confiscated. Everyone was stunned. This brat's guts were too big. Even Shun Fengho had come forward to stop him, but he was still this unscrupulous. Shun Fengho shook his head with a bitter smile. He understood Chu Tian's personality. Chu Tian would keep his words, so this Shangwan Ming only had himself to blame. There was no other way. This matter would definitely be resolved. Shun Fengho could only personally send a letter to Imperial City and explain things to the three great families. It was a good thing that Shangwan Ming had the king's order, but coming to Central State City to stir up trouble was against the rules. Shun Fengho was acting as a mediator, so the Shangwan family should give him face. But after this lesson, the people of Central State City could clearly see Chu Tian. This fellow was a complete madman. Was there anything in this world that Chu Tian didn't dare do? Not to mention the Central State four great families. So what if it was the kingdom's three great families? They couldn't provoke this evil star. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.